You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
What? Being ahead 8-1 gave you power over me? No. I was born in the dark. Molded by it. Consumed by it.
We might be bordering on copyright infringement here. Or trademark infringement.
I'm not sure if Daniel's impression is good enough to trigger the bots.
I don't think it is.
I thought it was pretty good, but to be fair, I've never seen that movie, so.
What?
How have you never... Wow. Never mind.
Seems like it'd be more right up your alley.
Yes.
It's fast-paced.
The Mariners were left for dead. They were written off. But they didn't write back.
They ain't right back.
I love this new rooting for Gino Daniel.
They ain't right back.
I ain't right back.
They
I ain't right back, though. Oh, my gosh. What? I'm Daniel Hargrove.
I'm Justin
There we
Domashevitz,
go.
and our trusty producer, Andrew Gross, is also here with us. Maybe we'll debut a new segment called Here's the Thing with producer Andrew later.
Yes.
We'll see how that goes.
It should go well.
This is the Northwest portion of our podcast. We will have a shorter, or a separate podcast, not a shorter one.
I was going to say,
We
shorter?
used to do this in one big
Yes.
podcast. We're
I think
breaking
it's
it down
longer.
into two. Yeah, it is. The local sports one's longer. But what I meant to say was we're doing these separately so you can get to, in podcast form, what you want to listen to faster.
Yes.
If you're watching live, then you're just going to have to stick with us.
Yep.
Because we're going to talk Northwest sports first, and then we're going to take a quick break for Daniel to pee, and then we're going to do local sports after that.
Shoot, I forgot. I don't know if Andrew can do things like this live while we're going, but we should totally get like a countdown timer to play in between podcasts for the people who are like half watching online and they look over and they're like, oh, what's going on? I'm not getting any audio. And if they see like a countdown saying, we'll be back in 5 minutes.
I have a better
Are
idea.
you ready to commit to being back in 5 minutes?
Yes,
But
that would also be
Okay.
good.
But really, I mean, honestly,
I'll see what I can
it's
work out.
just a pee break. Why don't we just send a live camera in the bathroom with Daniel, and then people will know the status of the bathroom break?
That I can't do. I don't have wireless cameras.
Okay, well, let's work on that.
Yeah.
We'll put it in
effort
our
that.
budget.
Yeah. Let's get it going with the 2-minute drill.
Let's go, hurry up! Gotta hurry. Hey, 2-minute situation, 44 seconds, hand the ball to ref. Gonna do it right. 3 jet Buckeye, don't worry.
The 2-minute drill starts now.
The Seattle Mariners will start their American League Divisional Series against the Houston Astros on Tuesday in Houston. Luis Castillo and Robbie Ray started the 2 wildcard games. Daniel, if you were Scott Service, who would you start on the mound for Game 1 against the Trash Stros?
I would start Logan Gilbert game 1, matching him up against Verlander when you have the gluttony of riches of starting pitching that the Mariners do. You didn't use Logan Gilbert to get here now. He is a stud. His last game, he went 8 innings of absolute masterful pitching. I would go him 1, Castillo 2, Kirby 3, and then start it back over again, 3-man rotation. I don't like Ray against the Astros. I know that could get sketchy since he's a guy you just paid a lot, but too dang bad. After starting the season 4-0, including a big win over number 11 Michigan State, the Washington Huskies have dropped 2 conference games to unranked opponents. Justin, which is the real Huskies team?
Well, I think since we've since learned that Michigan State actually kind of stinks, that win seems like less of a big deal. And realistically speaking, I think the Huskies just are who we thought they were at the beginning of the season. Despite the fact that they managed to get into the rankings for a couple of weeks, they've come back down to earth. What the Huskies are now is who they are, and their defense is terrible.
Ugh.
After back-to-back losses to USC and Utah, Oregon State clipped Stanford 28-27 on Saturday. Daniel, are the Beavers back on track?
I don't know. I mean, maybe if their backup quarterback who's started now after the injury, maybe if he found his way, I know he made some nice passes, but he's a young guy, so I'm not sure if he'll actually work out better or worse than Chance Nolan. I think quarterback is the main position that they struggle with. But man, that Utah game was brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely so bad. So, I don't know. We'll see. I think they're back on for now, but it depends on that young quarterback play.
So this was supposed to be a note, and then I was going to fill it in with a question. But question 4 just says, the Seattle Seahawks. And I thought, you know what? The game's still going. I'll wait till it's over, and then I'll put something in. And then I thought, I'll put in a question about how our punter went rogue and tried to run for a first down deep in our own territory, but then I forgot.
Justin, the Seattle Seahawks barfed away another lead today because their defense is poopy.
Let's go.
Because their defense is poopy poop bud soup.
Yeah.
Did Pete Carroll decide to switch to a 3-4 defense because he has a crappy middle linebacker to play there?
Geno Smith, good. Tyler Lockett, good.
Yes.
DK Metcalf, mostly good. Defense, real bad. I know, here's the strategy. Let's have 2 middle linebackers, but one of them sucks.
That was my quote from
Cody
last
Barton.
week. Yeah.
He's the one who sucks.
Yep. I think they should have kept
He's
Joel
struggling.
DeBlanco.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Cody Barton is Joel DeBlanco light.
Does he not weigh as much?
I don't know.
He's not
as
huge
good.
guy. He's not a huge guy.
He's not a huge guy.
I
Yeah.
feel like
I tweeted-
he's a great special teams
He is a
guy.
great special teams guy.
I tweeted last week Joel DeBlanco, and then the greater than symbol, and then Cody Barton.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
Yeah, I'm believing it. Holy smokes.
Do you want to expand on any of this 2-minute drill stuff or jump right into Mariners talk? Because I feel like we need to dwell on this for a little while.
We do.
Do we want to talk about Mariners after Seahawks so that it leaves a better taste in our mouth? We can just briefly talk about the Seahawks.
Let's end on a sour note.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's get into this discussion real quick about that 2-minute drill question of the Mariners.
Okay.
Who would you start game 1?
I am with you. I would go Logan Gilbert. Because you have, like, even if you wanted to start...
Do you know who these players are?
Yes. Even if you wanted to start Robbie Ray, he would not be available, correct? Because he just started the game.
Yeah.
But you don't want to start him anyway.
You don't want to start him. He just pooped himself.
Kirby...
Those tight pants couldn't hold it in.
Kirby did just pitch,
That's
but it was
true.
for a short time. He only pitched 1 inning, right?
Yep.
So he conceivably could go.
Yeah.
But I think Gilbert's your guy, and I think it sets you up to have everybody in sort of a flow after that.
Exactly.
Like you can stay mostly with the rotation that you've had and keep guys on the amount of rest that they're used to having. So yeah, I'd go Gilbert and then Castillo.
Yeah, and that would give Castillo, that would put him like on your normal 5-day rotation.
Right.
Like, so he would be perfectly normal, ready to go. Also, interesting, I didn't think about this, but Andrew's dad was like, do you want maybe to not match up your best pitcher against their best pitcher? So, like, do you almost concede game 1 against Verlander and then throw Castillo and know that you'll get the win there because you're not going against their best pitcher? And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't like it
Yeah.
because,
The
but
Mariners shelled Verlander early this season.
yeah, and he also he pitched against him like 4 or 5 times this year, and
I
they shelled him
saw
once,
2 of them.
and they got murdered the other
That's
times.
true.
So
But I'm just saying that it's not
Yeah.
impossible to beat him.
yes. Also, though, I think Logan Gilbert's at the top of his game right now. Like, he's coming off his best performance of the year.
Like the anti-Robbie Ray.
Yeah.
And
That's the other thing with Robbie Ray. He was so bad against the Astros this year. Like, take out what he did against the Blue Jays just now. I was thinking if they play the Astros, I'm not sure if we should pitch Robbie Ray because he was so bad against him every time he pitched against him.
Yeah,
that
even
doesn't-
outside of him kind of struggling recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that does end up bringing the interesting question to game 3 too. Like, let's assume, which I think the Mariners are going to do, they'll probably go Gilbert and then they'll go Castillo. So game 3, Robbie Ray or George Kirby?
I would go Kirby,
Yeah.
but if they go Ray, they better have a hook way quicker than they had in this Toronto game. That almost let's put it this way. The game didn't have to be as stressful as it was if they would have pulled Robbie Ray quicker.
Agreed.
And it's a shame because when you think back to when Robbie Ray was signed and then they bring in Luis Castillo, that's every team who has playoff aspirations is looking for that 1-2 punch in the pitching rotation.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be those guys. And Robbie Ray's, he's the reigning Cy Young champion.
Yeah.
Cy Young Award winner. So I feel like that's kind of a letdown. But at the same time, the idea that you have two young pitchers who could be considered better than the guy that won the Cy Young last year. I was listening to Tim Kirkjian during the game.
Yeah.
And he said something that, like, it makes total sense when he said it out loud, but I hadn't considered that top to bottom, the Mariners have the best pitching rotation in the playoffs. Of all the teams in the playoffs, they don't have the best 1-2 punch, but they do have the best top to bottom pitching rotation in all of the playoffs, which is insane.
It is insane. But do you need the best fourth and fifth guy, or do you need your top 1-2 to be the best? Because you only need to win 4 games in a series.
Yeah.
And if you can pitch them each twice.
But these first series are 5 games, right?
That's true. I keep forgetting that. This first series is 5 games.
The championship series and the league championship series and then the World Series. Those are the 7-game ones. Those are where you could have 2 guys pitch twice.
Yeah. But I go 3-game. If I'm the Mariners, no tomorrow, you're going up against the Astros. I'm going Castillo, I'm going Gilbert, Castillo, Kirby.
Yeah.
Gilbert, Castillo.
There is extra rest days.
There's rest days built in. There's a travel day in there.
Skip Robbie Ray completely.
I'm skipping Robbie Ray. I'm putting him in like the 9th inning. You know, I'm putting him to the bull. I'm switching up between him and Kirby as to the guy you bring up in the bullpen.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm doing that is because I think he showed in the first inning. He went up against the top of the Blue Jays lineup and blew him away. And those are really good hitters.
That's true. That first inning, he was awesome.
He was awesome. Springer, Bichette, Guerrero, he went through them like nothing. And then it was after that where he struggled. So I think that translates to the bullpen. Give Kirby a shot. And you play this series like no tomorrow, especially because I have tickets to the ALCS, but we couldn't get tickets to the ALDS. So I really need him to get by Houston here. I want to go to a playoff game, man.
I'm extra excited now. I didn't realize you could get tickets to that.
My brother, I think it was because he got a suite at some point, and so like he got a text message, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to pre-order some tickets or something?"
Yes,
and
please.
by the time he looked at getting that text and looked at the ALDS, it was sold out.
Yeah.
So then he was like, "Well, I'll go to the ALCS," and he was able to get those. They're like $100 a pop to sit out in the outfield somewhere.
So what happens what happens then if the game doesn't happen?
He gets his money back.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have to pay up front and then you...
I think so.
That was a conversation that Hannah and I had about, because we went to the game that they clinched the playoffs in.
That's so
because
cool.
It was the sort of thing where
when you
it
hug
was
the
like,
stranger.
Yeah.
This is
Cried in public.
the only chance. Like, we don't have we're not going to go to a playoff game. Like, I don't have a chance to go to a playoff game. So I'm super excited.
Right?
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Like, I know. I can't believe that he got this text and we are just like...
So how many tickets did he get?
He got 3.
Okay.
I think he probably should... Like, hindsight, I should have told him, get as many as you can.
Is there a limit?
And then we'll sell them, you know, if we can't find people. And that was the thing, because I was like, I don't know, like, how I'd work it or anything. He's like, I'm just going to get it. Worst case scenario... I'll be able to sell it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you wouldn't, even if you just
kidding.
said, hey, I'm going to invite friends to pay for the, like, you'd be able to find people to go to these
Exactly,
games.
yeah. And so he was
Not me, but someone.
He was
looking
looking
at
at
lots of
right.
playoff games to go to, guys. Jeez.
Well, over the next decade, there's going to be dozens of them. So.
Yeah. So that's my thought on it. I've always been aggressive in playoff pitching. Like anytime over the last 5 years, anytime I've seen somebody using their 4th starter in a playoff series, I'm like, why? What are you doing?
What if your
You're
4th starter
in the
won the Cy Young Award last year?
Yeah. I mean, that's a valid
point.
But the point you made about him specifically against the Astros, I think was Like you were saying, I don't want to pitch Robbie Ray against the Astros.
Yes.
You weren't saying I don't want to pitch Robbie Ray as a starter throughout the whole playoffs.
No, I wasn't.
So next round, when the Mariners play the Yankees, you would consider pitching Robbie Ray as a starter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Although Judge and Stanton are both right-handed. But I don't know about the rest of the lineup. Andrew, can you look up anything right now?
Yeah, probably.
Can you look up Robbie Ray starts against the Astros this year? If you can figure that out. Anyway, while he's working on that, we'll start the talk. Justin, were you watching on Saturday?
I watched basically all of Friday's game, and I sort of caught the tail end of Saturday's game. But I was following the whole time.
Okay.
So I was aware of what was going on.
So they're down 3-0. And I'm like, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Gossman's pitching.
I was watching
Amazing.
youth cheerleading.
Then they're down 4-0. And I felt the opposite of how I felt the previous day when the Mariners went up 4-0.
Yeah.
I was like,
Right?
we got this.
Yes.
Like 2.
I felt the same.
Right? Like 2, you're like, okay. 3, you're like, feeling better. 4, we got this.
Got it.
Yeah. And that's what I was.
Castillo on the mound.
Yeah. Mowing people down. Our bullpen's rested.
So good.
Yeah.
Dude,
just
that guy
ridiculous.
added 2+ miles per hour to his pitches.
Yeah. He was
talk about
aimed perfectly at
was-
George Springer.
Also, he was locating. Like, not only did he add the velocity, but I feel like the Blue Jays pitchers, even Gossman, who was great, his command wasn't great. That was the cool thing, is you could see the adrenaline of Castillo, and yet he was able to control it, where he was still throwing strikes. And he would, throw one of those ridiculous blitz ball freaking fastballs that moves like 4 feet and goes 98 miles an hour.
Yes.
Not 4 feet, 21 inches.
Oh,
Daniel.
yeah, sorry,
Basically
21
4
inches.
feet.
And it would
in the
still
metric
end up
system, it's 4 feet.
it would still end up a strike.
and they were in Canada, so.
And it's just like, what?
How many kilometers was it?
How many kilometers?
I think
you'd
that's-
probably bring it down to meters.
Not meters, millimeters?
Millimeters
What's smaller than a meter?
Yeah, is there anything in
is it
between,
centimeter? Would be like the inches
Yeah, it would be
equivalent?
centimeter.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, okay, so it'd be what, 21 inches?
Gosh,
so that's
I thought
what,
I
like
struggled with metric.
42 centimeters? 42 centimeters?
I
Ish?
don't know.
Probably 43.
Hey Siri, how many centimeters is 21 inches?
It's going to be 43,
So
44.
there was a John Boy Media live stream.
53 centimeters.
Yeah.
21 inches is
Not
50.
bad.
There
You were
was
within- you were pretty close.
You're closer than I would have been. I was going to say like 80. So
There was a John Boy Media live stream that was going on they were actually doing the Mets game, but
Okay.
it was at the end of the Mariners game. And at one point, Jake says, there's a guy throwing 102 miles an hour in one game with 20 inches of movement, and another guy throwing 100 miles an hour with 18 inches of movement. Baseball's ridiculous. and he's like, and then he thinks for a minute, he's like, as if the movement makes a difference to me.
Right.
Like, I say, with movement, if I
Yeah.
get up there, he's throwing 102 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well, especially like when Munoz blew that one by arguably one of the best hitters in the game. Like one of the top 10 best hitters, and he throws a
Alejandro Kirk?
That guy was amazing this series. Oh my gosh. But Vlad Guerrero watches 103 go right down the middle from Munoz and just looks forward like, all right, this sucks. Like, what do you do?
don't you guys think that Alejandro Kirk looks like he would be more at home in a basement playing Dungeons and Dragons? Like, he does not look like a baseball player.
Either
Looks
that,
like a darts player to me.
Darts
Have
player?
you ever watched darts on the Ocho?
Can't say that I have.
dude, I see him either pitching or playing third base in one of our slow pitch leagues.
Yeah.
Just talking unbelievable crap the whole time.
I think it's the hard thing
And
is like,
hitting dingers
Hitting
every time he
taters.
gets up.
Yeah.
but he
Yes.
obviously has like a weird frame.
Yeah.
And he's round.
You're
but
right.
He also has really short limbs, which like makes it look.
He's a fat Gene Segura. Am I not supposed to say fat anymore? I don't know.
Well, I'm the only fat person in the room, and I'm not offended, so I think it's okay.
But yeah, he's got really short limbs. And Segura had those really tiny arms.
I did.
Segura
Probably
had
still
a
does.
great play this weekend
did.
too.
Yeah. But so then they're down 8-1 at one point, and we're at this point we're just paying attention. Oh, I shifted because Friday. I guess we could keep talking about Friday. Friday was awesome.
Yeah.
Big Dumper quiets the crowd in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Like that place was jumping from the start, from the national anthem. They're like, "Wow, we have a playoff game. This is great!"
All the
and then Big Dumper just goes boom, and they're all just like,
Didn't it become really obvious, too, how many Mariners fans were there?
"Yes."
There was a lot at both games.
Loved it.
And that's after national voices had been talking about the Toronto as being
Like the dark horse.
not just that, but the atmosphere, like the fans.
Oh, yeah.
They were saying that stadium is. Jeff Passan called it the best atmosphere in playoff baseball.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
And you shut him up in a heartbeat game one. Dumper comes up and poops all over him.
Against your best pitcher, who has been one of the Alek Manoah
Yeah.
had been one of the best pitchers in the entire league.
And I think it got to him, man.
He seemed shook early.
Yeah.
You could tell by his body language and his facial expression.
Which bums me out because I like him.
that dude's huge.
He's massive. He's
That
bigger
is
than
a-
Dumper.
That is
Yeah.
a giant.
Yeah.
Do you ever have the experience where when you watch a pitcher, sometimes because they're not standing next to anybody ever, you don't realize how big they are?
And then
Yeah.
And then
Like
at one
Gilbert.
point they said during the game, Alejandro Kirk is 5'8", and his pitcher is 6'8" or 6'9".
6'6", I think. I think he's 6'7".
6'7".
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, because Manoah's huge.
Yeah.
They might
And so
weigh
6'7"
this
on top of that, I don't know, man.
Well-
Manoah's got
well,
his own
but
kind of
yeah.
a Bartolo
Yeah.
Colon thing going on.
There was a couple of great Tim Kirchin moments. They have him placed
He's
in
the
that role
best.
perfectly.
I love him.
because they had their okay, first of all, that broadcast team was great.
So good.
They were good.
The play-by-play guy was good, although I thought he got really stupid over the beanballs in the second game. Really dumb.
Yeah. Since
but-
when is a beanball only at the head?
Yeah, not only that
A
was
beanball is at the back.
anything where you're
Usually.
trying to bean him, I think you get beat.
Yes.
To say you only get beaned if it's in the head, I think that's making it too specific. That's trying to be a little too far inside
Also,
baseball.
Does
But
anyone ever actually throw at the head?
not on purpose.
I feel like a dude that throws at the head would legit get cleated.
yeah. Well,
Like-
you would get
Like
you would get hit real hard.
actually.
What was the girl's name? Was it Jessica Mendoza?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds right.
She was brilliant. That was one of the best color commentaries I've heard in a long time. Not only did she explain things in great detail, but in such an understandable way. Like, it was amazing. And then you have Tim Kirchin to come in and be like, I talked to Alek Manoah, and on the roster it said, okay, no, I'm doing a bad job.
That was a little Sean Connery in
Yeah.
vain.
Big Dumper. I can't think of his accent. Darn it. I did a great Kirchin over the weekend. I'm just going to stumble through this. But he was like, I talked to Manoah over the weekend and said that his roster he's listed at 6'6", 250. But he said, no, I'm 6'7", 290. I was like, dude, you are massive. And then he was like, I was in the Mariners clubhouse yesterday, and I talked to Mitch Haniger and said, why do they call Cal Raleigh Big Dumper? And he said, well, because his butt's the size of a trailer. And then I went over to Cal Raleigh and said the same thing. And he said, well, he's not wrong. I feel like my Kirchin got better there towards the
You
end.
got a little bit like Muppety.
Yeah, but that's
But
kind
it
of how
was better.
Kirchin is, right?
You steered away from Connery
Yeah,
and you
went
went
more into
towards
Kirchin.
Muppet, but you had it though. That was better.
I
love the line.
never-
I did a great Kirkshin over the weekend.
I never thought I would hear Tim Kirchin say, his butt's as big as a trailer on national TV.
But do you think
that's
like
amazing.
in game one, I was watching it, and because I didn't watch very much of game two, I'm watching game one, and I was like basically by myself for most of it too, so
Yeah.
really paying attention.
Yeah.
And going, man, this commentating team is really good.
So good.
But also, commentating teams usually are better when you're winning.
Yeah.
And I was feeling good.
Yep.
So maybe that.
So maybe that's why.
But I love Tim Kirkjian. I've always loved Tim Kirkjian.
He's awesome.
Did you feel differently watching the second game? Because for a large portion of the second game,
They're behind.
the Mariners were
I
not
didn't
winning.
watch any of that because I was watching youth cheerleading.
And again, they were. I still thought the broadcast team was good
You should probably
until.
clarify that you were watching your daughter in youth cheerleading.
No clarification needed.
They got really weird for a bit when Seawald being somebody on accident, and then Castillo comes in and has no idea where the ball's going because it's Castilco and we have no idea what he's
the
doing.
Russian.
And he drills somebody in the
Other
head.
Castillo.
And they're like, "Do you think this was on purpose?" And they're like, "I don't think. Why would you want to rile people up?" And I don't know. And they're talking about all this, and I was like, "Okay, I could understand this if you would have talked about Julio Rodriguez getting drilled twice in one game and France getting hit the day before. But before, you didn't barely even mention that. And yet they had this whole discussion about, are they trying to beat people on purpose? And I'm like, nobody's thinking that because it's a close playoff game. Why would you possibly think that? Anyway, you're down 8-1. All hope is lost. We were only paying attention on Saturday because we were at Andrew's dad's birthday party. Happy birthday, Mike. But we were at the birthday party, and so that's the only reason we're still paying attention, because that was like the main feature of the day, is we're going to go over, watch the game, and then barbecue afterwards. And then all of a sudden,
Barbecue.
Andrew goes outside.
Is that where
Because
the
they're down
barbecue
to-
was?
Yeah, that's where the
Yes.
barbecue was, but they're down 8-1, and Andrew's like, I'm going to go outside. It can't get any worse. Maybe this will change something. And then all of a sudden, Santana comes up. And a pass ball happens. And you're like, oh, 8-2.
Who scored on the
Okay.
pass ball?
I think that was France.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, Santana goes yard. And you're like, Andrew, I'm sorry, you cannot come back inside.
Yeah, he took a tough
At
pitch
one point-
yard, too.
Yeah. And at one point, I was like, hey, Andrew, you want to come see this? And Andrew's like, I can't move.
Stay
do it.
outside. Well,
Can't do it.
I am disappointed that you invited him back in.
It was bad job by me. Bad job by me. So then the comeback just starts happening, and Dumper does it again, and Adam Frazier, oh my gosh. This is the guy who we signed, not the guy we've had all season. The guy we had all season was like, man, this guy's been kind of rough. Maybe we should start Sam Haggerty at second base. This Adam Frazier is like, yes, please. This is the all-star. He has been on fire.
That was something Kirkjian mentioned in game one that I really appreciated, was Adam Frazier he's been a really good hitter for his career, but not this year.
right?
Yeah.
And he's been awesome. And then he comes up with a big double to give him the go-ahead lead after Dumper already hit a double. And we're thinking, why aren't you pinch running him? And then they hit a double, and it doesn't matter.
1 year. Or exactly how many years?
27 years.
27?
27
Not
years
one,
after
27.
the double.
1 and 27 are very different from each
Yeah,
other.
they are. The exact is the point of that.
And you take a look at then they start throwing camera shots. Throw another double in there. J.P. Crawford's hit is technically a double. The one that tied it up where Bichette and Springer crashed into each other. And I hate that they got hurt on the play, especially Springer, since he had to leave the game, which looked like a concussion. I hate that happened.
Though.
But it was Springer, and he's an Astro, so...
You could even take the tro off the end of that, and I'd be okay with it.
So it was like, that kind of was weird, because you're like, yeah, but then somebody's down on the ground, and you want to make sure they're okay. But what a fluky play to tie the game up on.
It was weird.
So weird. And the fact that Frazier scored from first on that play. Like, I know you're running with 2 outs, but to score from first, because the second baseman didn't take him too long to get to that ball. That was impressive.
Yeah.
That he made it all the way home on that so easily. Like, there wasn't even a throw. So another just huge play. And gosh, that game, I was like just freaking out. Andrew and I have a history of really hard high fives, because I think the first time Andrew and I started watching sports together, he gave me a high five once, and I about died in pain. So now, since then, I've tried to like match it, because then I am at least trying to have him be pain too. But yeah, that was
Be the stronger high fiber.
exactly. It's hard with.
I feel
Andrew.
like though Andrew,
He's got man hands.
Andrew's body is built for a strong high five. Like he's kind of compact.
Yep.
And he's got those like thick hands,
really thick forearms
and thick
too.
forearms.
Yeah.
So like when he comes into it with just explosion, like boom, the high five is there.
Exactly. And I have to like really wind up to try and get the momentum. Yeah, I use the long lever approach. You know, I've got the long gangle arms.
Still though, it kind of leaves you susceptible to that like push, like you get a pullback on your arm. See,
and every now and then,
bigger than Andrew. But I think just his like compact explosiveness would give him an advantage in a high five
and every
scenario.
now and then I miss high, and so then I take the
right
you
to the wrist. You can't miss high. But what's worse, missing high and taking it in the wrist, or missing low and getting your hand bent back?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
These are the things we need to learn.
Do you want Robbie Ray's stats versus the Astros?
Yes.
Now?
Yeah,
Okay,
there we go.
This is a good time for it.
Yeah.
Great producer.
So
So good.
Robbie Ray, in his career, has played he started 9 games against the Astros.
Okay.
He is 3-3 with an ERA of 6.86,
Ugh.
43 strikeouts in 9 games. 3 of those games were with Seattle this year. I'm having to try to like parse through these.
Yep.
But it got progressively worse. Okay, yeah. The first game in June, he pitched 5 innings, allowed 8 hits and 4 runs.
Not great.
In July 24th, how did he start on the 24th? Gosh, we played Houston a bunch in a row.
Yeah, it was really.
And July, he played again. He started against them July 24th and then again July 29th.
Jeez.
24th, he went 3 innings, allowed 10 hits and 6 runs.
Oh boy.
And on the 29th, July 29th, he went 2.2 innings, 5 hits, and 4 runs.
Yeah, so not pitching him would maybe be a
didn't go
good
well.
idea.
Yeah. So I would hope that he would understand. Like if the Mariners decide to go 3-man rotation, Gilbert, Castillo, Kirby, I would hope that he would understand, dude, we just don't like this matchup. We'll throw you again next series. Because that's so bad.
You know,
It's so bad.
I would normally be like
I'd rather throw
very
Marco Gonzalez than that.
I normally would be very sympathetic to that sort of thing where it's like, man, that's got to really suck. The only part of me that is like, yeah, I kind of expect him to suck it up is that Marco already took the biggest, like, for such a prideful guy to be told, you're not going to be on our postseason roster.
Yeah.
We need you to put it all in the field in a meaningless game at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. And for him to take that, acknowledge it, be like, yep, this is my job. I'm going to do it.
Yep.
And do it. Any other pitcher on that roster that gets upset because they didn't get used the way they thought they wanted to be used, I have quite a bit less respect for.
Yes.
Like, look at Marco and follow his example.
Exactly. I'm with you on that. 100%. All right.
You guys have more Mariners? I feel like that was a really good conversation.
I think that was good. I think
the series starts on Tuesday in Houston.
Yep.
It's a 5-game series.
Yep.
Win it and face the winner of Yankees and
Cleveland. Did Cleveland win? Who's Cleveland playing?
I'm not sure
Tampa.
about
Cleveland's playing Tampa. Is that game? Did they? No, I think I saw that their walk-off clinched the series.
I paid attention to no baseball outside of the Mariners.
Yeah, I think that Cleveland won the first 2. Which is funny because
I'm also winning my fantasy football game 115-65 against Jimmy Hargrove.
against
be
my brother.
Congratulations to me.
Poopy Poop Butt Soup is losing but projected to win.
Yeah, the Guardians are playing the Yankees, so
Gotcha.
they've clinched.
And the ham sandwiches are smoking the goods right now. I'm up 109-64, and he's projected to only get to 91, and I'm projected to get to 130.
Dope.
Yeah. Because Leonard Fournette and Tyler Lockett went off.
See, I'm still a little nervous because even though I'm winning by 50, your brother still has Lamar Jackson. So there's always the outside chance that he could totally go off.
That's true.
Well, as much as I would love to sit here and talk about our own fantasy teams for the rest of the show.
Hold up, not for the rest of the show, but Andrew also has a fantasy team.
Yeah.
Don't want to talk about it.
And you also, we are all in the same league for like the first time ever.
Don't need to talk about it. It's not important. Nothing.
Well, I'm winning in that league right now, 112 to 57 against my son.
Ooh, McConaughey's having a rough go of it so far.
Well, he picked Jonathan Taylor first overall. It's been a little underwhelming, and now he's hurt. He was also a late scratch, and
rough.
he didn't get him out of the lineup in time.
First overall.
So goose egg, yeah.
That sucks. Yeah, but he's still not in last place.
No.
That belongs to the Cones of Dunshire. Is that Colby? Yeah, that is Colby. The commish of the league is in last place of that league. Colby, oof. And you have way more points than the people or than the person right in front of you. But I'm in third place. The poopy poop butt soups
this is why you wanted to
are
talk about
3-1.
Have you?
Wow.
He acts so surprised.
What? I didn't even set my lineup this week, guys.
You suck.
Just rolled them out there.
I just missed the days when Daniel was terrible at fantasy football, and I got to just make fun of him constantly. But for the last several years, he's actually gotten pretty good.
Wait.
Actually, this is exciting.
Oh, the Pop Locket Drop It's are
I've been
2-2.
catching
That's
up.
me.
I've been catching up.
Oh, and
Earlier this morning, I had
Dude.
a 5% chance of winning, and now it says a 45% chance of winning.
Andrew's getting hosed in that league. He's
It's
got
brutal.
507 points and is 1-3. And Justin's team has 432 and is 2-2.
Yeah,
It's
it's
Justin's.
brutal.
Since
That's
we're talking
tough.
about football, I'll just say we're going to talk about the Seahawks on the other side of this break. But really quick, let's have a word from our sponsor.
Is that Damala?
Sure.
Yes.
Can't get it to play.
Damala.
There we go.
Do you have a legal
could've
situation
done it
and
live.
need someone on your side? Let the law office of Jeffrey A. Damashevitz be representation with real estate law, small business law, or estate planning. Let Jeff Damashevitz put his 29 years of experience to work for you. Call Jeff Damashevitz today at 360-612-3991 or visit damashevitzlaw.com. That's DAMASIEWICZLAW.com.
Welcome back to the scrimmage.
In case you didn't catch it, I said 30 plus.
Yeah, 30 plus years. We need to update that commercial.
I need to re-record that.
I heard a commercial for, was it the Mariners game? I think it was
I
a
don't know, I
commercial for
wasn't
the
with
Mariners
you.
post game. No, it was the high school game.
Okay.
It was
Very
recorded
different.
by the great Darwin Shera, who has not worked at the radio station for about 10 years.
That's
That commercial has some staying power,
Did he
man.
come back to
legs.
record it, or was
No, this commercial is current. Apparently, the same great service and deals from this company. I think it was. Oh, what it was.
I guess that's a
Dang
lesson
it, I can't remember
about-
who it was, but
about writing and recording commercials without specifics.
it was amazing. Everything seemed current and ready to go, and he hasn't worked there in 10 years.
We'll revisit this when we get
That's
to
awesome.
to the local sports portion of the pod. But Rob Burns just sent us a text that said, "Coin flips for picks. You have to all do it on the air, or you're chicken."
Why are we chicken?
Rob is mad
For wanting
because
to give away
Daniel
our
and
picks.
Daniel and I
So
went 7-0
mad.
last week.
Yeah.
and then we all picked Montesano.
Did he? He hasn't had to use a coin flip, has he?
No, only Andrew did.
I'm the
So
only
why does
one
he
that's
want
been
us to do-
forced into coin flips.
Why does he want us to do it?
Because of the. You know what? Let's do this in the local
Okay.
sports pod because it is kind of funny. The whole thing's kind of funny.
That's a tease.
Yeah. So let's talk Seahawks.
Let's
I
do
think
it.
I
Do we
nailed
need
it
to?
in the 2-minute drill question.
I do.
Gino good, Lockett good, DK mostly good.
Didn't DK fumble?
defense real bad? DK fumbled and dropped a touchdown.
So
Did they end up scoring a touchdown after he dropped the
no,
touchdown?
they kicked a field goal.
Oh, DK.
So how did the game go?
I watched the fourth quarter. Sorry, I went to church today.
My brother asked, or he said on YouTube, he would enjoy some in-depth analysis of the roster decisions focused on what the staff is focusing on and why they're making these decisions, obviously focused on our boy Joel. He also said that he was offended by Justin's implication about D&D players.
So who did that question come
Wait,
from?
my
Daniel.
brother.
Okay, little Daniel, here's my expert analysis. Gino good.
Joel DeBlanco talk about how many tackles he had.
And personal bias.
Yes.
Yeah, entirely personal bias.
Barton led the team with 12 tackles today.
I didn't
Also
actually-
led him with solo with 7 tackles.
None of anything I said about Barton was based on what he did today.
Yeah.
It was just he's the guy that I'm going to pick on.
He's our punching bag.
And also, the best line from last week's podcast came from Daniel about Barton. I know, let's have 2 middle linebackers, but one of them sucks. I laughed so hard when I listened back to that. I laughed so hard I almost had to pull over in my car.
You know what's funny is after you said that, I went and listened to the show, and
You what? You don't do that.
Man, our
know.
listener numbers have been up.
They've doubled now. They've doubled me and Daniel.
and it made me like spit take too when I said it.
It was really funny.
Oh
So-
my gosh.
All seriousness, though,
Yeah.
I don't think we really understand what's going on here.
I mean,
who's
who's this guy? Why is this guy on the team instead of Joel DeBlanco? Cullen Gillespie. Who's this jabron? 6'2", 235. You can shorten it if you want. It is a jabroni.
I
Sorry,
call him Jabs.
my coworker calls him jabrones.
Okay.
There's no way this guy's better than Joel
I
DeBlanco.
just call him Jays.
Get out of here, Cullen Gillespie.
Yeah, just by your name, I can tell you're not better than Joel.
Jeez. Come on.
I guess the question that is at the forefront of any conversation about the Seahawks defense right now is it the players or is it the coaching? We have a new head coach, or a new defensive coordinator. He made changes. He made significant changes. It's not working well.
No.
It's also not working
Because they have 2 middle linebackers and one of them sucks.
It's also not working significantly worse than what they had before. They have had historically bad
last
defenses through the first half of the season for like 3 years.
That's a good point. But
I think last year was the worst, right?
It was.
Yeah.
But
But
they improved significantly.
they did.
Yeah.
They improved through the year. So if they improved through this year,
Isn't it
what
also
do we
sad
think?
that Jamal Adams has gotten injured like every year he's been here?
It is sad. He seems like a real likable dude.
And he's just been hurt.
Big time team guy.
that trade
serious
leader.
injuries too, not like
Yeah.
out with a strained quad.
And he's tried to
kinda
play
thing.
through the
Hey,
Nixon
don't downplay a
bumps.
strained quad. I played through one of those for an entire rec league
But
softball
you played
season.
through it.
It
and
hurt,
I'm
though.
I'm saying, but there's the kind of guy who's like, oh, my quad's not quite right. Oh my,
Mitch Haniger.
I'm not playing
Mitch
because
Haniger.
of this. Wow, that's really rude of you.
I feel like Andrew did like a direct impersonation of me during that softball season.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, my quad's not right today.
Oh,
Oh
quad.
man, my quad.
my quad.
I don't even remember.
And
the
you gotta,
last
like,
time
rub it.
Justin played.
You have to rub it with like the palm of your hand while you're saying it. Oh, guys, my quad today. It's just not right.
That got Australian.
I was trying to be a bro.
He was being one of those Hawaii bros. Oh man, I was out shredding the gnar the other day.
I was
The point being
Shredding it.
that it's not like you cannot, even somebody who thinks the trade was terrible and is
Yeah.
100% against the guy, he's not just being soft, he's getting unlucky.
Yes, that's true.
You can argue that
Yeah.
you shouldn't have traded him for him because you knew he was going to be unlucky all along. I think you're dumb.
Yeah.
But
That's like saying you shouldn't have drafted Rashad Penny because you knew he was going to be hurt, even though
Probably.
he had never suffered an injury in his life before that.
definitely seen that argument on Twitter.
Literally had the highest injury grade they've ever seen for the Seahawks staff, and yet he's been one of the most injured players.
Frustrating.
Should have hit that riptide, bro.
Ah, man.
Shred the gnar.
I was just got what's oh dang it. Pitted. Just got pitted. Oh, bro.
The only positive thing that came out of the Rashad Penny injury, which it's not positive, it's sad, because now this is the guy that we've been waiting to explode onto the scene for all this time. He seemed finally healthy end of last year, beginning of this year. Then Kenneth Walker, man, coming out
So
with that
good.
awesome touchdown
Yeah.
run, and I think maybe this is the beginning of the Kenneth Walker era,
Yeah. Well,
where
I mean,
he's the new Marshawn Lynch.
tell me,
I'm knocking on wood.
could you imagine a time where your top 2 running backs run for a combined 130 yards and a yards per carry of around 8 or 9, and the Seahawks lose?
Sounds like your defense stinks.
Yep. That's the truth. I mean, Michael Dixon brought that yards per carry average down for a team. One
That was
carry for
weird.
-8 yards.
So after the game, Pete Carroll clarified that was intended to be
A rolling yeah.
punt.
Yep.
Should have also been the 4th question in our 2-minute drill.
Yeah.
Rob is fuming right now.
He is so mad. Why is he so mad?
He's mad because
accused him?
We're only giving half the story. I'll give the whole story in the local sports podcast, but that's also making him mad because he said that's a BS way for us to get him to listen. So I'm gonna keep dragging him on. I'm gonna keep dragging it along. I feel
We just pushed it to the end of the show.
Here's the thing about Little Daniel's question about the Seahawks roster. Like this time last year, all 3 of us would have been able to give a very intelligent answer on all the cuts and all the roster moves
Yeah.
and everybody throughout the entire depth chart. But like all of the energy and attention has been sucked out of it to the point where it's like, I mean, I watched the Seahawks game today. They lost in a close game in the end. I didn't give a crap. I was almost happy they lost because I'm like, okay,
Higher pick.
assume that you're going to be bad. Your defense is awful.
Yeah.
You don't have a real quarterback. Sorry, Gino. I know you ain't right back. But I'm almost at the point where it's like, I would prefer you be 4-13 like Daniel predicted this year instead of winning 7 games like Andrew predicted, because
would
then you
prefer
go
that,
get that
'cause I
higher
like
pick.
being right.
And then, 3 years from now or 2 years from now, when Drake May from the Tar Heels is available in the draft, you go pick him first overall.
4 years from now.
No, he's a redshirt freshman, so he's got 2 more, and then you can draft him after that.
Wait, you want us to suck for that long?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
You could be good this year
Well,
and
maybe
then suck a
okay.
later
How about
year.
this? Suck on purpose this year. Suck on accident for 2 more years.
Well, isn't it crazy? Okay, so I'm assuming
No, Justin, no.
we talked about this, so I'm starting to finally make the shift where I'm okay with rooting for Gino because it's not his fault that I've been rooting against him.
Yeah, no, you've been rooting against him because you're salty about the whole.
but
Russell
you
Wilson thing.
admitted,
Leaving thing.
you openly admitted, which I really admired because I struggle with this. You openly admitted that your motivations for rooting against Gino were because you wanted to be right.
Yes, that is a
that's
big
okay.
part of it. That's a big part of it. But also, I wouldn't feel this way. Like, let's say Russell Wilson asks for a trade,
Oh, we're
gets
doing the thing
traded.
again.
Yes, we're doing the thing where we can't not talk about Russ. I'll make it quick. Let's say this. Russell Wilson asks for a trade, gets traded. Everything's fine. People are like, oh, man, that sucks. But you know what? He was our best quarterback ever. He brought us our only Super Bowl. That sucks. But anyway,
He wants
he's
to be
gone.
closer to his family.
Let's root on. Exactly. Let's root on the next guy. That would have been great. But all of this crap about we hate you, we didn't want you anyway, we're glad you're gone, you're the worst ever, we hate you, you're gone.
Who is he even
Geno
listening to?
Smith is better than Russell Wilson for this offense anyway. He's a better fit for this offense anyway.
I've been
We
reading
don't
a
like
lot of
Russ.
Twitter. I don't
Oh
know
my
who
gosh.
Daniel's listening to.
Dude, what do you mean? There's been stories on Bleacher Report saying that Geno Smith better fit for this offense. Like, that's headlines for what's going on right now.
Well,
I was not
Pete
laughing at you.
Did
I was
basically
laughing.
say that.
Exactly. So what do you mean? Who am I listening to when the head freaking coach says it?
I was laughing
The
because
head
That
coach
he's
is
better for
saying
that offense.
that Geno is better for our team than Russell Wilson, the only guy
he
we've
said
ever won
better-
a Super Bowl with.
Rob said that we shouldn't get too excited about a high pick because Pete will just trade it away for a receiver who can't catch.
That's fair.
I mean, he's done it a couple of times. So,
For a receiver who can't catch?
well, he did it with Percy Harvin. He did it with Jimmy Graham.
Oh, I get what he's saying there.
Yeah.
So here's
I thought he was talking about DK,
Here's
but
the
DK
thing.
was a late
Jimmy
round pick.
Graham didn't live up to the expectations he's still the best tight end production-wise that Seattle's ever had.
He was good. He just wasn't good as he was
He
supposed to
wasn't.
be. And I think that
he wasn't Jimmy Graham.
He wasn't the
I
red
think
zone threat that everyone wanted him.
I think that it had more to do with expectation than with reality. though.
100% agree.
Like-
but when you give up a first-round pick to bring a guy in,
Like,
that expectation is going
But
to be
if
there.
you gave up a first-round pick for a tight end and it was the best tight end that your franchise had ever had, wouldn't you say like that was a pretty good pick?
Not if your
No.
franchise had mostly had garbage tight ends.
Yeah, exactly. The bar was set very low before that, Andrew. Name a tight end before Jimmy Graham who would have set the bar high.
Receiving-wise. Because obviously Zach Miller was awesome.
Zach Miller was also an awesome receiver.
He was
and
a good-
received whenever he was asked to.
Yeah.
He never
But
failed.
his utility was
receive.
to be a blocking tight end who also was a good receiver.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Graham
That's
was supposed
because
to be
of
like
why-
an extra receiver. on
And
the
Jimmy
field.
Graham was asked to do the same thing.
Except
And,
not
and
block.
couldn't
was
block
so-
worth crap and was a
and-
liability because
and
of it.
was slightly better at it because he produced better.
Yeah, but I think overall Miller was a better for-year offense with what he was asked to do.
Possibly.
So if you're
I just-
shifting it to only taking receiving stats,
I mean,
then
I'd
yes.
take Itula Mealy over Jimmy Graham.
Get out of here.
I just
Jim
think
Zorn.
I just think that they
Really
hate-
quick.
I thought Jimmy Graham was really good.
I
agree.
Yes, he gets a lot of crap. He gets more crap than he
Unfair.
deserves.
I think we've
that's
actually,
all- that's my
I actually
only
think
point.
we've had this conversation about
Probably.
Jimmy Graham before. Yeah.
Really quick. This discussion has been plaguing me for the last week. I am turning a new leaf where I'm rooting for Geno Smith.
Oh, we started here
In
like
s-
10 minutes ago. I forgot.
In spite of all the crazy lunatic people who are out there, including Pete Carroll, who says that Geno Smith is a better fit for this offense than the greatest quarterback in your franchise, you are literally doing right now, if you would have been the same fan for the Mariners 20 years ago, if you would have been like, glad Ken Griffey Jr. is gone. He's not as good as Mike Cameron anyway.
Did Ken
You guys
Griffey
are
Jr. play worse
Freaking insane.
after
He got
left?
hurt every freaking season after that.
did.
I'm
play
glad
worse
that they
after.
got rid of Ken Griffey Jr. for Mike Cameron.
Mike Cameron was
Ken Griffey Jr. had a terrible career after that. Some really. Oh wait,
No,
they
he was
didn't
still
trade,
good.
did
He was still good.
They didn't get anything back for Ken Griffey Jr.
He
did
still
trade
was.
him.
He
Oh, they
was.
did?
He was still good
Okay.
though. He
Yeah.
just wasn't as good, and he missed a lot of games.
Yeah.
So he wasn't as good, and he missed a lot of games.
Yeah.
Sounds like Cameron was better.
Mike Cameron wasn't as good though.
He wasn't as good but he played more games and was better consistently.
Okay, I just wanted to get that out because that's what people are doing right now.
I actually
and it's
agree
driving
with-
me nuts, and it actually has caused me to hate Geno Smith.
So-
until today, when I
is very
realized
enjoyable
that
for
it's
me.
not Geno's fault, and I'm gonna root for Geno, but it still tickles me that Pete Carroll's vaunted defense and how he's a defensive coach is ass. I don't usually swear on this show, but this is the worst defense I've ever seen.
It's
and
big dumper in a bad way.
It tickles me. It tickles me.
It is big dumper in a bad
Yeah.
way. I didn't want
Anyway.
that joke to get lost. That was good. But I think that will conclude our Northwest Sports Pod. If you're watching on the live
I
stream,
apologize. Now I feel bad for saying that word.
don't worry about it. Sticking with it. It's not. It's well. I'm not. I was going to tell a story, but I'm not going to now. Okay, so that's going to conclude the Northwest Sports portion of our podcast. If you're watching on the live stream and you're looking for local sports, stay where you are, because we're going to take a brief intermission for Daniel to pee, and then we're going to come back. We're going to give you a full roundup of local sports. We're going to talk about Montesano's win over number 1 Eatonville, and we're going to name an athlete of the week from a record number of nominees that we got this week. But for my co-host, Daniel, am I still allowed to say fat, Hargrove?
And my co-host, Justin Coinflip Rob Tomaszewicz.
And our trusty producer, Andrew, here's the thing, gross. You've been listening to The Scrimmage.
Apparently.
Cucumber is bad.
You're listening to The Scrimmage with Daniel Hargrove and Justin Domashevitz.
Da 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 da. Thank you for joining me in the Montesano High School fight song.
That's Hoqueem's fight song.
That's the Cougars fight
There we
song.
go.
It's
Go
everybody's,
Cougs!
Well done.
everybody's fight song.
High schools that use college fight songs
Yes.
suck. Actually, I think
Whoa!
I'm pretty
Whoa! Whoa! Isn't Aberdeen's fight song Oregon's fight song?
I don't want to talk about it.
Daniel knows Aberdeen's fight song.
I do. I know both
You
the
wanna
fight
sing it?
songs. Well, I don't know the words to it. Let's see.
No,
so that,
basically all high school fight songs are college fight songs, and it's kind of dumb because why don't
Aberdeen's
you?
is
Why don't you
da da
get
da
creative?
da 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 da
Yep.
da 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 da.
So
Sorry.
here's the
My
North
mom
Carolina
used to sing
one.
that all the time.
Here's the North Carolina one. Does anyone locally use this? Oh wait.
Oh no!
He doesn't know it.
Oh no! It used to be my ringtone.
Oh no!
Da 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 da.
I don't think anybody locally uses that one.
Original.
Yeah.
Go Heels.
I
mean,
don't think anybody
it's East
uses
Coast.
U-dubs
I'm
because
actually
it's
really-
pompous as heck. So
I'm actually really embarrassed that I forgot that for a second.
I actually, unironically, would be interested in like a database of everyone that uses specific fight songs because I
Yeah.
feel like it's actually really interesting.
I agree.
There is a team. I don't know about their fight song. There is a high school near Fort Rutgers, Alabama,
How do you know
that
about this?
uses because my brother was at flight school there.
So
Okay.
random.
That uses the Seahawks logo
What?
in red and gray.
Okay.
Which I'm partial
Kind of think
to.
that would look pretty cool.
Yeah. Look awesome.
But it's like
Is it
so
like crimson?
sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like high schools universally use
Yeah.
pro
stuff.
Pro stuff.
You know what my favorite thing is? Hoquiam not only has Washington State's fight song,
which we can all get behind.
yeah, but also have you seen their logo recently?
No.
It's the bear, like the grizzly bear, but it's HHS is built into it like the WSU logo.
My brother says
I actually
that
really like that
It,
logo.
it's a really cool logo.
I've used it on a lot of our
Because
graphics.
remember about what was it, about 10 years ago they were using Hawaii's H.
Yes, they were.
And they were trying to make that their logo.
I did not like that.
I didn't like it either.
Yeah, I actually publicly boycotted it.
Yeah. And now they've shifted so that their logo is like a mix of HHS and WSU's
It's
logo.
pretty cool. If you're
It's pretty
curious
cool.
to see it, go
I-
look on our Facebook feed and you'll find it in some graphics that
I
I've
can
done.
get behind that. My
Yeah.
brother says that it's the Seahawks logo, but red and black. It's Daleville, Alabama.
Nice. What's their mascot?
The Seahawks.
Oh, they're also
'cause-
Seahawks?
okay.
I believe they are called the Seahawks.
I
yeah.
asked because I assumed that they were a hawk of some sort.
Right. Any
But-
generic bird of prey.
But
really.
I was like, why would they be the Seahawks
they could be
in
the
Alabama?
They could be the Eagles and it would
Hey,
work.
Yeah.
they're near the eastern seaboard.
Is Alabama? I thought Alabama was
is right.
landlocked. Does it have
I think
the
it
coast?
actually has a bit of coast down, but it may not.
Oh.
The point being, they
bad.
are near the east coast.
Well, I know they're
Oh,
near
Daniel
the East
says
Coast.
that the Warhawks.
Warhawks. There we go.
Bad job by you, producer Andrew. And we were just commending you for what a great producer you are, and then you spread misinformation.
I spread information.
Oh, welcome to the Scrimmage, the Northwest. No, not the Northwest. This is the local sports podcast version of the show. I'm Daniel Hargrove.
I'm Justin Domashevitz, our trusty producer, Andrew Gross.
We are brought to you by Ole Penn Real Estate, the sponsor of our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week.
Which we will get to soon. And also the law office of Jeffrey A. Domashevitz, no relation.
What's the A stand for? Wow, Justin, for the second time in 2 weeks, we are putting Stump Daniel in the local sports part of the show.
I really like bringing this into the local sports.
Me too.
I'm nervous now because last week you did mascots and I felt really confident about it. I am concerned.
Because I used a lot of the ones you knew.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, I felt like when I put last week's together, I'm like, all right, Daniel's going to end up with about 16. He'll end up in the Coug zone.
Yeah.
You exceeded expectations.
I did well.
We're
Pateros was the
We're going to do it again.
Billy Goat.
Oh, we're doing it again? Game. Name that high school mascot.
Let's
All
go.
new mascots. We have refreshed it. We have, just for in case you missed it last week, here's the rules.
Okay.
We have
Doing
four.
the intro.
Yeah.
Serving questions up on a silver platter where the points are made up and the rules don't matter. Time for Stump Daniel.
We have 4 sections
That
of
was a
3
good
different
one.
schools.
Hold up a second.
Yeah.
Because you sung along too, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
That was just
Me.
my voice in the imaging.
I also threw a bass line into that.
You know what? Let's save that.
sounded
We
good.
could keep it and make it the imaging.
Well, we also need to
not.
add
That
your
sounds hard.
harmonizing from last year. Or last week.
last month.
Okay, anyway.
So
I'm
there
getting-
are 4 sections
pulling
of
up
3
Google.
schools. Each one has a 1 point, a 2 point, and a 3 point. So each of the 4 sections has 6 potential points, which means you have a total possible 24 points.
I know Rob's listening. Do I have Rob's phone number?
You have 4 lifelines, Daniel. You can use as many as you want
Okay.
at any time that you want, but you can only use each lifeline 1 time.
Yep.
First lifeline is animal or not.
Yep.
Second lifeline is what's the first letter?
Right.
Third lifeline is phone or text a friend. I added text. So
Ooh.
here's the caveat. With text, you can text a friend and then wait for a response. And as long as the segment is still going, you can get that answer later.
Okay.
Okay? The last one is 15 seconds of Google, which we learned last week. That's pretty tight. If you make one little oh, Ian just texted us. He's here.
Okay.
He's ready for you.
Okay, cool.
So,
I'm gonna.
he's
all right.
ready to help you.
Sweet.
Last week, what happened with Ian was perfect because you tried to call him. He didn't answer. And then he called you back right when you were using your 15 seconds of Google. It was actually absolutely perfect.
It was brilliant.
Anyway, last week, in case you missed it, those are
Okay.
listening at home, Daniel had a 21-point performance. He
right.
ended up in the coveted Beaver zone.
Let's go.
Everyone wants to end up in the Beaver zone.
Unless they can end up in the Coug zone.
All right.
For Daniel, the Beaver zone's better. All right, some of these are
It's a matter
easy,
of
some of them
taste.
are hard.
Okay.
Daniel, your first one.
Yep.
Montesano High School. What is the mascot for Montesano High School?
The Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs is correct.
And their junior high is the Bullpups.
There you go. 1 point right off
better?
the bat. No bonus points for being a know-it-all. Here's the next one, Daniel. This is a school that you definitely have come across.
Okay.
1A classification.
All right.
Nooksack Valley, Daniel. What is Nooksack Valley? I aimed to make these more difficult this week.
You've done well. Dang it. I know I've come across them, but you know what, Justin? I have not broadcast a Nooksack Valley game.
Okay.
This is a tough one.
This is a tough one.
This is a really good one.
But we're
Dang
also only on the second one.
Where-
I know, off the bat.
Where is
Jeez.
Nooksack Valley?
It is.
It is-
northern, like somewhere between Seattle and Bellingham-ish area.
Okay.
Is
I
that
just
good
figured-
enough? Somewhere
I-
between
no, I just
Seattle
figured-
and Bellingham-ish
Yeah,
area.
north of Seattle.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna phone a friend on
Okay.
this one.
All right.
I'm gonna call. I'm giving him a chance at redemption.
If he doesn't answer, because the phone service is spotty out here, so if you can't make connection by the phone, I give you permission to text
text
and
him?
wait for a response.
Okay, so I'm gonna
call
call
back
Ian.
Last
Okay.
week though was amazing.
All right, I'm
That was
calling
really
Ian.
good.
I'm calling Ian. I have it on speakerphone.
Ian did say he's here.
Yep.
He told us. Do you think he knows? This is a tough one.
Also, my phone has to get through. You're correct. It has to make it through.
I know we can
If
text.
he were a real fan, he'd be watching and
True.
would have the answer ready.
Well, it says calling, but it still hasn't started.
I'm going to assume your texting will work, but your calling may not. That's actually what happens to me out here. Because the group texts use internet to go through.
Fun fact about Alabama. My little brother says that Alabama is not landlocked. Mobile, Alabama is a deep water port.
So Andrew was right, and now I feel like a jerk for saying he was spreading misinformation. My bad.
I'm gonna try calling him on Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
So Alabama has like this little bit down in the southwest corner that like reaches down to the ocean.
Okay. Good to know. So if I ever want to go to the ocean, just go to Alabama.
I mean, it works. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right. I am struggling. I cannot call Ian for
Still
some
trying to
reason.
find the answer for Nooksack Valley.
Yeah. I don't know why it's not working.
I would apologize.
Oh, never mind. It says my service is crap. Oh, Ian texted me though.
Okay,
It
do you know
is
the
crap.
answer?
Ian texted me.
Okay.
He says the Pioneers.
Pioneers is correct.
Let's go,
Two
Ian!
points.
Yes!
Ian coming up clutch. 2 points for Daniel. Your phone or text a friend lifeline is off the board.
Whew. Wow, I had to use that for a 2-pointer.
All right, you've got 3 points now.
Huge credit to Ian
Yes.
for coming through there.
Big time. Big
massive.
time.
In spite of Daniel's incompetence.
I know.
Voice
Dealing with
of
the
Gray's Harbor.
I hadn't
terrible
even texted
service.
him yet. He texted before I even texted him. He just saw that I was trying to call him.
Here's your 3-pointer in this section.
Okay.
I believe this is the #1 team in the state in the 3A classification.
In the 3A classification.
Yelm, Daniel. What is Yelm? Which is coached by former Hoquiam High School head coach Jason Ronquillo.
Yes.
What is Yelm's mascot? I just drove through Yelm yesterday, actually.
I think I know.
Or 2 days ago.
Oh, it's between two things.
Okay, you have lifelines. You have what's the first letter or animal or not. You
I'm gonna
also
go-
have 15 seconds of Google.
I'm going to go, what's the first letter? I'm using my lifelines super quick.
You are, but
time.
this is a 3-pointer, so this is a big deal. The first letter is T.
Okay, I think that did it for me.
Okay?
Wow.
The Yelm Tornadoes.
Tornadoes is correct.
Let's go!
Wow.
I didn't allow you a bonus point for being a know-it-all earlier. But do you want to guess what their junior high mascot is?
I just drove through there.
As
Tropical
did I.
storms.
I drove by there. I'm going to say the Cyclones?
It's Whirlwind. Oh! Good guess. I like it. But I was driving through there. They're like creating a whole new facility, football field, baseball field, softball field for their junior high. It looks amazing.
Dude, I drove by their junior high.
Yeah.
Massive.
Huge.
It's so big.
Also, congratulations to Jason Ronquillo and Brian Irian, who's on the coaching staff at Yelm.
So they're ranked #1 in 3A?
I think they are. They're definitely undefeated and rolling over everybody.
That's crazy.
Okay, section 2. You got all 3 in the first one.
My dad just threw in Pioneers for Nooksack too. He's a little slower on the text, but I appreciate it. Thanks, Dad.
It's still during the
Segment.
segment, so
It would have
was
counted.
in time.
It would have counted. But now you can't get any more text help.
No more text. So I have to make sure I
Everyone
don't look at my
text
texts.
Daniel.
I only can use Google. So I'll-
1 pointer, Daniel. Deer Park. What is Deer Park's mascot?
Oh, somewhere Braden Dorman is very upset.
He's triggered, I think was what.
so upset.
Braden Dorman once told us that when he drives by Deer Park Drive in Central Park, he feels triggered.
Yes, it is.
I mean,
this-
don't we all?
Yeah, it's the Stags.
That is correct. You're at 7 points. You're a perfect 4 for 4. We're going to the 2B ranks.
Okay. Ooh.
Adna, Daniel. What is Adna's mascot? This is a 2B team, which is not in our area, but it is a lot of time our teams play it.
Arr! They're the pirates.
That
matey.
is correct. Daniel, you got it.
Where is Adna?
It's next to PL.
Oh, Okay, so it's down south.
Yep. So if you are driving, like if you start in Raymond, you will, and then head east, you will go through PL and then Adna.
Okay.
Yep.
Here's the hard one. This is
Okay.
one I didn't know.
All right.
Okanagan, Daniel. We're in the 2B ranks again.
Okanagan's on the east side of the mountains.
Okanagan. It is a team I know of, but I didn't know their mascot.
Okay. I have an idea.
Okay, you still have animal or not, and you have 15 seconds of Google.
So I have an idea because last year I was really trying to study up on the girls' ranks for basketball and trying to do a lot of transitive property.
Yeah.
And Okanagan had a really good girls' basketball team.
Can I just say that it is very odd that you would remember the mascots of those teams? Because I do that as well, and I do not remember the mascots of the teams.
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay,
And I already used first letter.
yeah. Do you want to go animal or not?
Well, my thought is an animal.
Okay.
I think at this point, since I've got so far to go, how many more questions do I have?
This is the third one of the second section, so you have 6 more after this.
Yeah, then I just have to guess and hope.
Okay.
At this point,
Okay,
I want to say it's the Elks.
final answer.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but you've missed your first question.
Dang it.
Okanagan is the Bulldogs.
I remember that now.
You've missed one. You do have 9 points, but you missed a 3-pointer, which is going to make it tough to get into the Beeve zone.
You know what? I think Bulldogs would be a good guess when I don't know things because there are so many Bulldogs.
I believe, did we decide the other week that it's the second most or the first most used mascot in Washington?
In Washington?
Yeah.
I don't think we decided last week,
Okay.
but I'm willing to say it's the first most.
I want to say there's 13 Bulldogs in Washington.
Dang.
Across all
That
classifications.
was not very creative.
Yeah. Also, I said it was a lame mascot. Okay, Daniel, here is your 1-pointer
be
out of the
known.
third section. Cashmere. What is
Oh, I
Cashmere's
should
mascot?
know this one, and
You
I
should.
don't.
Really?
I should know this one.
Yeah, we see Cashmere a lot in the playoffs in the 1A ranks.
Oh, I should know this. You know what's funny?
What's funny, Daniel?
It's funny.
Ian and Robert making fun of you in the chat.
They
You
should
can't-
be.
You're
They
not allowed to
should
look.
be.
You're
They should
not
be.
allowed
They
to
should
look.
be. They should be. Go listen to last week, guys. Jeez, I nailed last week.
Yeah, you did. You got everything except, what was the one?
Pateros.
Pateros.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought this back. This is such a fun game.
The Billy Goats.
2 lifelines left. Animal or not, and 15 seconds of Google. But after this, you still have 5 more.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's an animal.
Okay.
That was a very tricky lifeline you put there because most are animals.
Because it's kind of not useful.
Well, we had pioneers earlier and tornadoes.
Well, a
and
pioneer,
pirates.
is
Pirates.
a pioneer and a pirate are technically an animal, but I assume that I knew what Justin was thinking, in which that is not what he meant by an
You
animal
should
or not.
answer that way, though.
What does that mean? Why is a pioneer and a pirate technically an animal?
Aren't they humans?
Humans,
Humans
aren't
are
animals.
Justin, you should
Humans
make
are
sure-
created in the image of God and
And
thus
see-
do not fall under the category of any animal.
And I knew that's what you were thinking, so that's why.
I apologize to any atheist I may have offended with that statement.
You know what's funny?
Take it up with God.
Take it up with God.
It reminds me of Seinfeld when that guy goes, well, I'm not the one going to hell, so why would I care? The guy who plays Kronk.
Oh. Anyway,
Cashmere.
Cashmere, Daniel. I feel like we got
right.
kind of far away from it there.
Yep, I'm going to ask, is it an animal or not? I'm struggling.
It is an animal, but not a human.
Oh, I appreciate that you gave that extra bonus to Daniel.
Okay, so I'm struggling because I'm thinking of 2 different animals.
Okay. Is one of them a pirate?
No. Screw it. Bulldogs.
Bulldogs is correct. Yes! Kashmir is the Bulldogs.
Yes!
1 point for Daniel.
I was like,
Oh,
is
that's
Justin
awesome.
really going 2 Bulldogs in a row?
Okay.
That is very creative by them.
Here's your 2-pointer for this section.
And you know the reason why I got that is Monty has played so many Bulldogs over the years. They've played Stevenson and Kashmir so many times, and I'm always like, it's Bulldogs versus the Bulldogs.
Here's your 2-pointer.
Okay.
Stevenson. Daniel, what is
Wait, that was a
Stevenson?
1-pointer?
Yeah.
Golly.
What is Stevenson's mascot?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It's the Bulldogs.
It is the Bulldogs, which you just mentioned. 2 more points for Daniel.
Do you know
A
how
little bit
many
of a
times?
seeding issue there.
Yeah. Do you know how many times Monty's played Stevenson basketball for girls basketball that I've covered?
I've always told my kids that if
Justin!
yeah.
I played the Stevenson Bulldogs in my lone, not my lone, but the most playing time I got in the playoffs of high school basketball, I was playing against the Stevenson Bulldogs.
Congratulations.
How many times have I told you that story?
A lot.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Also, I've always told my kids that if we ever moved anywhere, we'd move to Stevenson, even though I've never been there, because they're maroon and they're the Bulldogs, but they're maroon and baby blue, which is, you wouldn't think is cool, but it is slick.
It's good.
I dig it.
It is good. Yeah. It's good stuff.
This is the only place we'll move because I won't have to buy any new clothes.
Exactly. Andrew gets it. This guy gets
He'll
it.
be able to wear all of his clothes and still have school spirit.
And you guys want me to wear all of my clothes.
Yes, we do.
Here's your 3-pointer from this section.
Okay.
Daniel, this is going to be a hard one because this is a team we don't see very often, but we have seen them before.
Okay.
North Mason. Daniel, what is North Mason?
North Mason County?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah,
No, it can't be. Mason County? Is that where they're from?
I think so.
Okay.
Efforting. I have actually, now that you mention it, I've always assumed that's what it was. I
I
don't know.
don't think so. I think they're from farther north. But I could be wrong.
Oh, they're in Belfair.
Oh, Belfair's in Mason County.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is North Belfair's in Mason County. Dang.
All right. I've already missed one, so I've
Yeah, it's
blown.
it's north of Allen.
Okay.
I've blown my perfect chances, so it gets me a little bit more on the risky business side.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Vikings.
I'm sorry, Daniel, that's wrong. North Mason is the Bulldogs.
I'm an idiot. After you did Kashmir and Stevenson,
And, and Okanagan.
I was like, you know what? I bet the next one, I bet this whole section is gonna be Bulldogs. I bet that's the case.
Well, I'll just say
And
that
I totally forgot about that since we got sidetracked.
the silver
That's
lining
hilarious.
is you are already in the Coug zone with 12 points.
Do I have a shot at the Beef Zone?
You
What
don't.
more could
you
you
could
ask
get all
for?
even if you get all 3 of these, you'll end up with 18, which is 2 points shy of the Beef zone.
Okay, understandable. All right.
But you're Coug zone no matter
Justin,
what, so
I
it's
am
okay.
in awe of your scoring systems.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've
That
tried
was-
to do this a few times, and you are amazing.
Thank you.
Okanagan, Kashmir, Stevenson, and North Mason, and Montesano. All of which you have had in here. I'm terrified to not guess Bulldogs for the rest of the way.
Here's the non-Bulldogs one.
Maybe.
1 pointer. Tenino, Daniel. What is Tenino?
The Beavers.
Tenino is the Beavers.
Thank
1
you.
point for Daniel.
Thank you.
Here's
Their colors are wrong, but their mascot is right.
Here's your 2-pointer. A lot of things about Tenino are wrong. Here's your
The
2-pointer.
mascot is right.
Woodland, Daniel. What is Woodland?
The Beavers.
The Beavers is correct. 2 points for Daniel.
Terrible that you can't get to the Beavers on these answers.
I know.
You have 15 points. You could get to 18 if you
There
get
couldn't be a third Beavers, could there?
this one.
No way.
Or could there be?
No way.
Gonzaga Prep, Daniel. Gonzaga Prep High School. What's their mascot?
It's a high school?
Yeah. They're in the 4A classification. They're really good.
Are they
This isn't-
affiliated with Gonzaga?
Yeah, I think it's like the private school version of Gonzaga. They're
As a
Catholic
high
school.
school.
Catholic
yeah.
school, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, is this a trick question?
You tell me.
I have no idea.
Well, Gonzaga's the Bulldogs.
Okay.
Would they not also be the Bulldogs?
Or would they be the bull pups?
I don't know. We've already had 5 bulldogs. Do you think I'd really put in another one?
I gotta say Bulldogs.
You're going
'Cause
with Bulldogs?
I have no clue. And if they're the Beavers, I will freak out.
Bulldogs, final answer?
Bulldogs, final answer.
The answer is bullpups.
Didn't I guess that?
Yeah, you did. Daniel, you end with 15. You are in the kook zone.
Why didn't
An amazing place to be.
You left 15 seconds of Google
Why didn't
on the
I use
table
Google?
because you were so confident about bulldogs.
Was it that, or was he not confident in his Googling skills?
What?
I mean, we saw how 15 seconds of it's very time crunchy. It's
Do you know how much time I've spent making fun of the Bulldogs, the Bullpups middle school mascot? Could you imagine being a high school team and be like, let's go Bullpups! Yeah, puppies!
Here's
Pup
some
power!
texts we got during that segment. Ian says, so sad. Rob said, boys, you need a time limit on your answers. Then Rob said, geez. Then Rob said, this is just trolling. Then Ian said, what am I listening to? Anyway, that's all.
I'm sad.
Bullpups.
I
The
feel
Bullpups.
great about this.
Which one was better between last week's and this week's?
This week was better mostly because I feel amazing about jokingly being like, it's got to be the Bullpups, right?
Right.
Because it's the little brother of
That
the
was-
Bulldog.
That's hilarious.
Well, that
Isn't
segment
it the
was...
Pullman Greyhounds? I'm just going to throw out other random mascot things to make me feel better.
Go ahead, do it.
No, it's
15 seconds of you just throwing out random mascots.
No. Just gonna say Pullman Greyhounds.
Kook Zone!
Where's Colfax? Do you remember the Colfax mascot?
Bulldogs.
I'm gonna
Are
look
you
that up
serious?
because it'd be
Because
hilarious.
I wouldn't be
be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Colfax.
Colfax, actually, the county sheriff is the mascot.
That wouldn't surprise me. They caught. Oh my gosh, it's the Bulldogs.
Did I just win Stump Daniel?
You just won Stump Daniel.
Well, we do have
we need to take a brief break.
Let's do that. So we're going to do local sports roundup, and then we're going to talk about the Montesano football game, and then we're going to name an athlete of the week. But I think we all need a little breather, so let's take a quick commercial break.
At Ole Pen Real Estate, we have solidified our foundation on 4 core values. First, we continuously focus on growing our knowledge in the market and in our practices to bring the highest level of competency to our clients. Second, we provide a high level of integrity, compassion, and kindness in every aspect of our business. Third, we put the human element above business through humor, enthusiasm, and patience. And last but not least, we proactively respond to the needs of our clients. Our mission is to create a personal real estate experience, one person and one home at a time. With Ole Pen, it's personal.
Another great text. My dad texted in a mascot that I should have shown my strength with.
Okay.
Kazi used to be the termites.
That's true. They
Yeah.
switched to the Cougars, though, at one
Yeah,
point.
they did. And I'm still upset about it because my mom was a Kazi termite.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
She could have been a Cougar.
Yep.
I
My mom was also born in Alaska before it was a state.
That's cool. I have deep reservations about anyone who would think termites was a great idea as a mascot.
They're destructive.
Yeah.
That's
They'll
true.
eat your house, bro.
Yeah. They suck.
Well, let's do, without further ado, let's go into what is definitely one of our favorite parts of the show. Let's do the local sports roundup.
Let's get it.
Ninth-ranked Montesano went on the road and took down top-ranked Eatonville 42-21 on Friday. Bulldog senior quarterback Jaden McElravy was having a phenomenal game and scored twice on the ground before exiting in the second quarter with an injury. Jackson Wilson stepped in under center and threw 2 touchdowns to Kaleb Ames. Ethan Blundred led Monty in rushing with 99 yards and 2 touchdowns on 14 carries. Gabe Bodwell rushed 13 times for 83 yards, and McElravy finished with 69 rushing yards in the first half. Ames caught 4 passes for 79 yards, including a 5-yard score with 1 second left in the first half, and an impressive fingertip grab to cap scoring in the fourth.
Raymond South Bend remained unbeaten with a 56-26 thumping of Rainier on Friday night. At Raymond High School, the Ravens rushed for 450 yards.
That's a lot of yards.
Maybe their offensive line should be the athletes of the week. As a team, led by senior running back Ty Redinger's 122 yards and 3 touchdowns, and quarterback Austin Snodgrass 181 yards and 2 scores. Farrell Johnson also gained 56 yards and scored twice for RSB. And the Ravens will host PL Willapa Valley in South Bend on Saturday in the acronym showdown coming up this week.
Heyo. Speaking of PL Willapa Valley, the Titans notched a dominant win of their own on Friday night, 48-8 over Ilwaco in PL. PWV racked up 439 yards on the ground as a team. Colton Fluke rushed for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns, and also threw a touchdown pass. Derek Fluke, Spud Swagger, and Will Clements each rushed for a score, and Blake Howard hit pay dirt on a second quarter punt return.
That win was no fluke.
Oh boy.
Aberdeen hit the road on Friday and fell to perennial 2A powerhouse Tumwater. I hate Tumwater. 35-3. Jeremy Sawyer was the most productive Bobcat in the game, carrying the ball 20 times for 96 yards. Kenny Dawson got the Bobcats on the board with a 30-yard field goal.
Elma pushed undefeated South Whidbey to the limit on Friday in Elma. The Eagles outgained the Falcons 449-342 and held a 28-16 halftime lead, but in the end lost the game 38-35. Carter Studer passed for 293 yards and 3 touchdowns. The junior also rushed for 25 yards and another score. Athlete of the week, maybe. Gibson Kane caught 10 passes for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Kyron Hackney hauled in 6 balls for 66 yards. Austin Salazar scored on the ground for Elma, and Ethan Camus caught a touchdown pass from Studer. It doesn't get any easier for the Eagles. They will travel to Tenino next week to play the state-ranked Beavers in a league game.
Tough game there. Hoquiam got an up-close look at how tough Tenino can be on Friday at Olympic Stadium. Speaking of Tenino, the Grizzlies fell to the Beavers 50-14 and dropped to 3-3 on the season. Hoquiam did score in the second quarter when Jake Templer took a sweep from Xander Jump and threw a 24-yard touchdown pass to Owen McNeil, getting all the kids in the action. At the time, cutting Tenino's lead to 22-7. Jump threw a 57-yard touchdown pass to Gavin Wonderly with 24 seconds left in the game for the Grizzlies' only other score. Next week, Hoquiam will host the Bulldogs. I'll let you figure out which Bulldogs that is.
Cashmere.
Stevenson.
Montesano?
In volleyball, Hoquiam moved to 7-0 on the season, 3-0 in league play, with a straight set win over Tenino on Thursday. Senior setter Ella Folkers racked up 25 assists. Chloe Kennedy had 10 kills, 14 digs, and 5 solo blocks. Faith Prosh had 11 kills and 12 digs, and Christina Goulet had 10 kills and 3 solo blocks.
Sticking with volleyball, Elma improved to 5-5, 2-2 in league with a straight set victory over Eatonville. Take that, Eatonville. On Thursday,
Suck it, Cruisers.
Tori Thompson had 7 kills. Kara Haley added 5 kills. Brooklyn Swartz had 6 aces, and Allie Warren had 13 digs for the Eagles.
On Wednesday, Montesano's volleyball team earned a straight set victory over Ocasta. Ashlyn Devereaux led the Bulldogs with 10 kills and 7 aces. Addie Winter added 8 kills and a block. Maya Young had 4 kills. Jordan Carr led Monty with 14 assists, and Carissa Otterstetter added 10 assists. Montesano and Hoquiam will square off on Tuesday at Hoquiam Square Garden.
Raymond remained undefeated in a volleyball league play with a straight set victory over Acosta on Thursday. Got to think Carson Freeman. Yep, part of that one.
Oh, there's always a Freeman.
She led the Seagulls with 17 kills, and Megan
I'm glad you got this last name, not me.
Konbuke had 22 assists. Cassie Koski had four blocks, and Jolie Dunn led with 14 digs. Acosta was led by Emily Scott, who had 19 digs, and Jolissa Schlegel had 7 kills.
In girls soccer, Elma remained one game behind Montesano in the league standings with a shutout of Eatonville on Thursday, 2-0.
That Eatonville.
2-0, sorry. The Eagles got goals from Beta Valentine and Miley Seberg.
And switching gears to club soccer, Grace Harbor Gulls FC Academy's 14U team improved to 5-0 in North Puget Sound League with a 9-0 win over Washington Rush Select. Take that, Washington Rush.
Yeah.
Which went into the contest in second place. Michael Garcia, an eighth grader from Hoquiam recorded a hat trick for the Gulls, and JB Fabian, sorry, I'm struggling with reading, an eighth grader from North Beach, tallied 4 assists and 1 goal. Garcia leads the league with 10 goals, and Fabian leads with 7 assists. Grace Harbor has been dominant early in league play, outscoring its opponents 24-2 through 5 games. Whew. Grace Harbor Gulls FC's 18U team will be in action today. We'll get those results for you in our next week's Local Sports Roundup.
But that'll do it for this week's Local Sports Roundup.
That's a lot.
Oh boy.
That was good stuff. And
Lots
we
of
didn't even
Bulldogs.
get to high school soccer. I'm pretty sure Montesano's girls won a lot.
They did win a game. I'm going to be honest with you. I got one high school soccer because we had Elma soccer.
Right.
But I ran out of time.
Yeah.
So if you
mean,
have soccer that you want reported, please send me some information so I don't have to go dig it up
You
myself.
should just
Good stuff.
inundate Justin with information.
You know what? To be honest, I appreciate, Andrew, that you brought that up. If people want us to know things, email it to us,
Yes.
thescrimmage@gmail.com. Send it to us in a Facebook message. Like, anytime that you send us information, it's so much easier than me trying to have to go 20 different directions to try to find it.
Because a lot of times that information is not publicly posted, even if people know it.
I will say, I appreciate a lot of our stuff comes from the Daily World. Some of it I know on my own or I get from other sources, but a lot of it is because the Daily World does a good job of making sure that they have a very high percentage of our local sports covered in the local sports section online. So I appreciate the Daily World. Shout out the Daily World for all of their efforts in getting that information forward. Generally, if you don't hear what you want to hear in our local sports roundup, it's because, number 1, I didn't know. Number 2, I ran out of time, so I apologize. But I did have lots of good stuff. There was a ton of really good things that happened in local sports. I think this Grays Harbor Gulls FC Academy is really interesting. They have really competitive teams at 3 different levels. This 14U team in particular, with that 9-0 win. Oh, I just got a text from Ian Cope. Thank you, Ian. Montesano beat Elma at soccer 2-1. I don't know what day or where, but also Aberdeen beat Hoquiam soccer. Thank you, Rob. Aberdeen beat Hoquiam soccer 9-0. So there we go. We got more soccer results.
Suck it, Hoquiam.
Hey!
Getting live soccer results. I do think that this Grays Harbor Gulls FC Academy is really interesting. I think the way that 14U team performed, there may be a couple guys that come up when we have our Athlete of the Week conversation in that. But seeing how dominant they've been in this league, winning 9-0 over the team that was in second place is a really big deal, and big performances in scoring from Michael Garcia and then also in assisting from JB Fabian as well, I think is a big deal. So we'll get back to that when we do our Athlete of the Week. But I want to talk a little bit about this Montesano football game. Does that surprise you guys?
What?
Does it surprise you that I want to talk about
Why?
the Montesano football game?
Why would you want to talk about that?
So Montesano, for the uninitiated, for those who don't know, went to Eatonville
Oh, because your kid plays for Montesano.
yeah,
Well, that's true.
That's why.
Also, I
That's
live in
why.
Montesano. I rooted for them before my kid played there. Come
He's
on,
a little bit
Andrew.
biased.
I'm a lot biased.
Apparently, Lily Kazi had 2 goals in that.
Likazi, good
And-
goal scorer. Also, excellent sprinter in track season.
There we go.
There's a little information. Also, her little brother Matt
Dude.
came with my family to the football game on Friday night.
Dude,
So shout out Matt Kazi.
there you go. I gotta say, I like that we're asking for notifications
Yeah,
or for nominations, is what I meant to say.
so many this week.
So many.
Yeah. So we will run through every single person who was nominated. We will mention. We're going to name an athlete of the week. But before we do that, Montesano was number 9 in the state in the AP rankings and in the 8 to 10 range in almost every ranking I could find. Went to number 1 Eatonville and took down the Cruisers 42-21 in what I will describe as an eventful game.
It was eventful. I was listening to a lot of Ian's
There
call
were
of it.
events.
Yeah,
I listened to most of Ian's call of it.
yeah. I will assume Ian did a great job. I didn't listen
I
to any
also
of it.
listened
Masterful job. The only downside to Ian's call was the last touchdown pass to Kaleb Ames. The scissor lift was right in his way, and he had no idea. And I was listening on the stream on my phone, which was a good 3 minutes behind. So he was like, I don't know who caught that touchdown pass. And I texted you.
Yeah.
And you texted me.
Yeah.
And then I was like screaming, Kaleb Ames, Kaleb Ames, Kaleb Ames. But it got to him like 3.5, 4 minutes late.
Ian also texted me, but I was not super in my phone at that moment. So I eventually texted him back.
invested.
Yeah.
So I did a bad job on that one.
Yeah.
But
bad job on you.
I will say this, since you mentioned Ian being blocked by a scissor lift.
Yeah.
This is the first time that I've been to Eatonville for any kind of sporting event.
Yeah.
I've been to Northwest Track.
Me too.
But
It's great.
I haven't been to Eatonville for any kind of a sporting event. The venue is weird.
Better or worse than Northwest Track?
Northwest Track's pretty awesome.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's going to be a caveat to this because the field is grass. The track is asphalt.
Oh,
Wait,
not
the track
rubber.
that they run around?
Yes.
Like for track season.
Yes.
What?
The
I have so many questions about athletic departments everywhere.
The home side of the grandstands is, I've never seen this before. It's so offset that the farthest middle portion of the home grandstands is at like the 40-yard line.
What?
Whoa.
So you, like where Ian was saying the scissor lift was blocking him.
Yeah.
It's because he watched the whole game probably from about the 25-yard line. And there was
'Cause
a
it's
scissor lift that was being used for, I assume, PA announcing and something else.
Weird.
That literally would have obstructed his view of the end zone. The venue is odd.
That's weird.
But here's what I'm
go
going to
look
say.
at his picture.
Here's what I'm going to say about Eatonville football. If you haven't been to Eatonville for a football game,
That is so weird. Yeah, he is at the 20-yard line.
yeah, yep. Not surprising at all. Also, they have like, you know how every field has like, for visiting coaches, there's like a crow's nest?
Yeah.
They were uncovered. So there's like a crow's nest up on top of the grandstand, but it's uncovered. It wasn't raining, so it wasn't a factor.
Mount Rainier in the background, though.
It's, yeah.
Makes up for it.
Beautiful.
So I'll say this about Eatonville. Your venue is weird.
Yes.
They did so many things to make the atmosphere on their homecoming night really, really cool. They had, well, first of all, the people, like I mentioned this in Shelton last week, every person that I dealt with walking into the stadium, from, you know, waiting in line to paying admission to programs to concessions, whatever. Every person, very friendly, obviously working to make the experience nice. We got guidance from a cheerleader to tell us, hey, visiting fans go down in this way. Friendly.
Yeah.
I appreciated it.
Yep.
They had what was basically a food court. Like, not the greatest food in the world, but like all of their different, like their booster clubs for volleyball, girls basketball, but they had like
Nice.
6 or 7 different booths set up with all different kind of foods: hot dogs, pizza, Krispy Kreme donuts, walking tacos, elephant ears. Like, they had all these different options. It was so cool. So immediately when I walked in, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, they're not only creating a really cool atmosphere, but they're also doing a lot to raise money for all their different booster clubs. The kids are working the booths, raising money for ASB, all this stuff. It was awesome. Then we tried to walk over to the visitor side. We got blocked because we were a little bit late. It was like 15 minutes till kickoff, which means that their team was getting ready to come out onto the field. So we're stopped. We're waiting. They've got their human tunnel going. Their human tunnel appeared to be youth and junior high football players. They had cheerleaders literally with a giant banner standing in a tower on top of each other, holding up the banner like 12 feet in the air for the team to run through. They came out with chainsaws, running chainsaws, while their youth football players were chanting, who are we, blah, 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 blah. I don't know.
I'm assuming that they didn't have the blades.
They probably didn't have the blades on
Yeah.
because they were really close to other people.
I'm going to go ahead and say, though, that's genius, though, because
pretty awesome.
chainsaws are an awesome prop, and you can make them cheap by taking the chains off.
Yeah.
Not cheap, safe.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
if the chains aren't on them, they're just making noise.
So while
That's awesome.
Daniel, our hate for Eatonville, our sports hate for Eatonville is well documented.
Yes.
This was really cool. Like, I was there watching their team come on the field, and I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I felt pretty cool. I thought it was cool. They
That sounds
had
amazing.
Not only did they have a tunnel of their younger football players, but they were in an orchestrated chant
That's
for the
pretty sweet.
team. Cheerleaders stacked on top of cheerleaders, banners to run through. You cut through with a chainsaw with no blade to get out onto the field. It was awesome.
That sounds pretty impressive.
The atmosphere for this game between number 9 and number 1 was set.
And number 9 came in and smacked him in the friggin' mouth.
They did.
Yes.
I mean, it sounded like they were cheating a lot.
17 penalties.
There was
17.
So bad.
late in the second quarter, this game was tied at 21. Tied at 21, and Montesano's quarterback goes out with an injury he would not return. So you think
What was the injury?
it was a high hit. I assume it was a head injury.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak out of turn,
Okay.
but I will say
It's one of those touchy subjects.
Yeah.
But
It was
in today's day and age in football, you would assume concussion protocol is involved.
It was a high late hit that was flagged as a personal foul.
Yep.
Okay.
It was on the opposite side of the field from me, so I can't really tell you much about that individual play, but it
Yep.
was a high late hit that was flagged as a personal foul.
Yep.
He went out. He didn't come back. So at that point, it's like, okay, game is tied. That's feeling a little... It's a little nerve-wracking, but Jackson Wilson is a junior quarterback who played a little bit last year.
Yep.
He's got some experience under his belt. He comes in, leads the Bulldogs down the field. With 1 second remaining in the second quarter, throws a 5-yard touchdown pass to Kaleb Ames, in which I'll give the Bulldogs coaches credit for their aggressiveness in this game because it paid off. I'm going to give them credit significantly for two things. One is their aggressiveness, because that was a play where the play started with 6 seconds left and they were on the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
They have a really good kicker.
Yep.
Game is tied. It's tempting. Let's kick a field goal, which feels like a gimme, and go into the locker room tied.
Yep.
And then regroup, come out, see what we can do.
Yeah.
And instead, they decided 6 seconds, we can run a play. And I assume they thought, let's take a shot at the end zone. If we don't get it, maybe we have a second, we can still kick the field goal. They scored a touchdown on that play with their backup quarterback throwing to their best senior receiver, Kaleb Ames. And that was like ultimate momentum for the fans. Like,
And they're
going
getting
nuts.
they're getting the ball coming out of halftime.
And they're getting the ball coming out of halftime.
Huge.
So, and the other thing I'll say about Eatonville is, it is my understanding that their primary halfback was out. Like the guy who's been their main running. Their quarterback is their best player, Job Kralik.
Yeah.
He's the best player on the team. He's their quarterback. He's their kicker. He's their punter. He's their kick returner. He's their punt returner. He does everything for them.
Yep.
And their main halfback was out. So what they did, because they're so huge,
Massive.
and I could be wrong about this, and hopefully someone will correct me if I am.
Probably not.
I believe that Eatonville's smallest offensive lineman is 20 pounds heavier than Montesano's biggest offensive lineman. So So that's the kind of size disparity you're looking at.
Monty's O-line isn't so much big this year, but they're consistently big. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They're strong.
Well, also like Camden Taylor,
I'm just trying not to make
Johansson. I guess
Cam's
Johansson and Bodwell aren't
They're not
offensive linemen.
No, but they
They're
do have-
defensive
I'm
linemen.
just trying
I mean-
not to make Justin's son mad.
Yeah.
Seth Caton and Riley Chapman are the guards, and they're both good size.
Yeah.
They're just probably more like ballpark of 210, 220.
Yeah.
Not 260.
Exactly.
You know, so
And they had dudes running out there at like 290.
right, and I think they have a lineman that's over 300. There's things I don't remember for sure.
Beefy.
So don't quote me on that. But
Beefy.
Eatonville's response to having their main halfback gone was, we got a buttload of linemen. Let's take some of our linemen and let them be running backs.
Like your D1 commit to Boise State.
Yes, and Montesano
Who
was...
you know, if you're committed to Boise State as a lineman, you're more athletic than most
Yeah.
high schoolers.
So
You know?
Montesano was understandably...
Yeah,
right, exactly.
you're gifted.
Yeah. And Montesano was understandably unprepared for that.
Yeah.
Those linemen ran all over up the middle. Like, they could not be stopped. They were really good. They did a phenomenal job.
Aaron Pell has chimed in on YouTube to let us know that he was 320.6'3".
Okay, their biggest lineman. Or
What's
the
up,
guy
E?
that was running the ball.
She also
Good to
says that
see
you
E on the line.
couldn't hear the announcer from the other side of the field.
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
Gotcha.
No.
And
That's so
and
weird,
the
'cause-
penalties were horrible, which we all agree on.
Yes.
I'll
Most
go-
of the time, the announcers are too loud and too obnoxious, but you guys couldn't hear them from the other side of the field.
I'm gonna,
Problem solved.
That's almost better.
I'm going to have a spiel about officiating and fans after this.
Okay.
Oh, good.
But
Cool.
right now, I just want to talk about
it's
the game.
not over yet.
So Montesano, after being kind of caught off guard defensively in the first half, those halfbacks did really well. Job Kralik, also the quarterback, had an outside run of like roughly 30 yards for a touchdown that was like, that kid is so fast.
I'm assuming I think Ian mentioned this to me last year.
Yeah.
He's got to be the son of the Kralik who played for UW for their title team.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I do know that
Ian
he
can
is,
text me that. I'm pretty sure he's a relation at least.
he is committed to play football at Army,
Right.
and that he was third in the state in the 100 meter last year. He's real fast. And when
In
he hit
1A?
the edge, yeah.
Okay.
When he hit the edge for the end zone, that like it was obvious his on-field speed was incredible. So first half, both offenses do really well.
Yeah.
In the second half, Montesano made some adjustments, and I think noticeably the linemen who were playing running back got really tired.
Mm-hmm.
And Eatonville's offense stalled out to the point that Montesano held them to 30 yards of rushing in the second half.
Wow.
So
Monty's defense is so good.
Monty's defense, after kind of getting punched in the face in the first half, came out and played exceptionally well. Montesano's offense wasn't really stopped. When Jaden McElravy was leading the charge, he rushed extremely well. The team as a whole rushed really well. Then coming into the second half, when McElravy was out, Jackson Wilson led a really powerful Montesano offense to 2 more touchdowns in the second half while they held on to their lead.
I thought, from listening to it, I thought Jackson Wilson played exceptional.
Yeah.
Very, very well. Especially to come in mid-game.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing when you have a week of preparation, but to come in mid-game when your mindset has been, I mean, especially for Jackson, he's a starting
Rover.
which is one of their hybrid linebacker
Corner.
DBs, right?
Yep.
So his focus, for the most part, is playing that defensive position, and then be like, all of a sudden, all right, my name's up.
Yeah.
I got to go lead a team against the number 1 ranked team in the state. That is a huge shift. And for him to play as well as he did, I thought that was very impressive.
And 2 touchdowns to Kaleb Ames
Yeah.
for Jackson there. I thought he did a phenomenal job of leading the team, like you said, after Jaden McElravy went out. So
And
for
apparently,
me,
Kralik is the nephew of the receiver who played for UW during their title run.
okay. Yeah. So for this Montesano game, I mean, I feel like, and also was noted in the Daily World article, shout out Daily World again,
Yes.
Montesano, ever since that weird week 1 loss to Black Hills, has been really overlooked in the rankings. They've been kind of 9, 10, 8, whatever.
Well, yeah, because Black Hills wasn't expected to be much.
No, and Black Hill season has been weird because they started out 3-0. They looked really good. They got super injured, canceled a game, lost to Aberdeen. It's been an odd run for Black Hills. So, but ever since then, Montesano has been totally dominant, even against teams that were supposed to be good. Aberdeen, Castle Rock, now Eatonville. This Montesano team has proved to be just kind of rolling over everybody. So I'll be curious to see how high they jump in the rankings from 9, going on the road and beating 1.
Yeah. If I was to make the assumption, I would say Eatonville should fall to 8, and Montesano should jump to top 5.
I think they should probably be in the 4 or 5 range. They're Linden Christian is going to be number 1.
Linden Christian. Freaking Linden Christian.
Yeah. Nooksack Valley's going to be...
Royal lost, but wasn't it to like...
Linden Christian. They lost to Linden Christian.
Okay, gotcha.
Nooksack
That's
Valley.
a quality loss.
Nooksack Valley has 1 loss to Linden Christian.
Yeah.
Like, there are teams that are going to be up there.
Did Nooksack play Hoquiam this year?
Yeah, they kicked the crap out of them.
Well, yeah, but it's Nooksack is pretty good.
Yeah, the Pioneers.
That makes me feel better about that loss to Hoquiam.
Pioneers.
Or that win
Daniel's
against
like,
Hoquiam.
yeah, Hoquiam's all right. They only lost to Nooksack.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, I think...
Dude, that league up there is ridiculous.
What I told my son was, I don't really care how high Montesano jumps, but if Eatonville or Tenino is ahead of them, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah.
Because they just beat Eatonville, and Eatonville beat Tenino.
Yep.
So now you have, by transitive law, Montesano needs to be up above those 2 teams.
And Hoquiam
It's
scored...
a law, not a suggestion, people.
Thank you.
Hoquiam scored in the first half against Tenino.
Yeah.
Which is to be noted.
True.
And when I saw that Hoquiam had a touchdown against Tenino in the first half, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Hoquiam's mantra has been compete this year, and they have.
So
Last year they went into survival mode. This year they are like, nope, this is the time where we turn the corner, and I've been impressed with that.
Is your point there that Tenino can't be that good? If Hoquiam was
Not as good as ranked above Montesano.
Fair enough. Okay.
Who's Montesano have left for the rest of the season?
Hoquiam
Okay.
and Tenino
Okay.
and Elma.
Okay.
Is that it?
It might be.
We're 5-1?
Yep.
Or is that where we are? I'm sorry.
Dude, you're the Monty guy. Get with
so
it.
bad. I've been gearing myself up for at Shelton and at Eatonville as being a back-to-back killer of games. And coming
Those
away
are
with
over now.
They're over
We're
now.
over them.
Hoquiam is next week for sure, and then I think it's Tenino.
Was
after that.
Eatonville their first league game?
Yes.
So they have to play Elma, Tenino, and Hoquiam left, right?
Yes.
That's the rest of their league games?
Wow.
If they give up more than 14 total points the rest of the way, I'll be surprised.
You'll be surprised.
That
or
is
you'll
to Tenino
or
too?
you'll be raking them over the coals.
That is how impressed I am with Montesano's defense.
Yeah.
They are that good. So and that's in non-garbage time situations.
Aaron.
That's what I'm talking about.
Aaron says it's Hoquiam, Tenino, Elma, just to help
Hoquiam,
you out there,
Tenino,
Justin.
Elma.
Tenino, Elma.
At
It's
least
away
somebody's on top of this.
Away at Hoquiam, hosting Tenino and Elma.
So my assumption, and this is no shot, I'm not making a shot at Hoquiam or Elma. I think
He's a
this.
Hoquiam homer.
I am a
I got it.
Hoquiam guy. This is how much I think of that Montesano defense. Montesano's gonna give up 14 non-garbage points to Tenino, and that is it. I don't see any more points coming on the board.
You're saying non-garbage points.
Non-garbage
You're
points.
going to discount any late game points
Yeah.
as garbage points.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fair.
I
just wanted
have to
clarify
add
it.
that Rob said AP writers are worse homers than us. So
That is incredible.
in
Wow.
the AP rankings.
Wow.
I mean,
That's a damning indictment
Yes.
from Rob.
for totally normal reasons, I need you guys to filibuster for about 90 seconds.
Totally normal. Have we taken a commercial break yet?
We have.
Darn it. So anyway, that is what
I'm
I
picking
think.
Aberdeen every time.
Well, I mean, Aberdeen's got Chehalis this coming. No, they got Rochester.
The Acorns?
No, that's Oakville.
Oh, Rochester's the Warriors.
Yeah.
Way better mascot. They
I
get
think-
to come out to the Warriors Call by Volbeat, and it's amazing. I'm super jealous.
What is that?
It's a metal song.
Dude.
It's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is pretty
It's
sweet.
It is super cool.
I think I think Aberdeen's turned a corner, even though the loss to Tumwater. Tumwater and WF West are different beasts. I think Aberdeen takes out Rochester, loses to WF West, and then who
How
do they
dare
play?
you?
Well, WF West beat Tumwater
I don't care.
by like 3 scores.
I know. I'm picking
crushed
Aberdeen
them.
every time. Damn it.
So let's see. Have they played Centralia yet? They did, didn't they?
They already played Centralia.
And they played Black Hills. Have they played Shelton yet?
I
No.
actually don't know that. I don't think they've.
I don't think they've played Shelton yet. So I think Aberdeen. So Aberdeen has Rochester, WF West, and Shelton left. I
That's
think.
correct.
Oh, hi, Justin.
Hi.
You've been here the whole time.
I didn't even leave.
I think that Aberdeen goes 2-1 in that. I think Aberdeen beats Rochester, loses to WF West, and beats Shelton.
Shelton's pretty good.
I know, but Aberdeen beat Black Hills pretty handily. Are you trying to? What are you doing here?
Could
I'm
you
trying
guys
to make
move
the
your
static
phones
go
away
away.
from the? Thank you.
Boom.
Thank you.
so-
Appreciate it.
Honestly, I think Aberdeen goes 2-3 and ends up in the playoffs again.
So for Monty, Aaron has set us straight here. Elma is homecoming. They're going to play Elma on homecoming, and then Tenino and Elma at home.
Isn't that what I said?
So is there? She's hoping
She's
that
just-
the penalties will be less.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, okay. So let's actually. Do you guys want to talk about Aberdeen more?
Yes.
Let's talk
Well,
about Aberdeen more.
Or not? Is it good?
I'm
things?
just thinking,
I
like,
just want to talk good.
They
things
had
about
they had
Aberdeen.
they had a tough loss against Tumwater, but Tumwater's not only Tumwater. I mean, they're Tumwater.
Yeah.
They were also coming off their first loss to WF West in like 13 years.
And they sort of got handled by WF
And they
West.
got handled. So if you want to talk about a good team that was motivated, it was Tumwater. And wasn't it at Tumwater?
Yeah.
So I don't think that is really an indictment on Aberdeen at all. I think
No,
that
no,
is
no,
an
no.
angry Tumwater team that is out for blood. And yet Aberdeen, what was the score of that game? 35-3. Not great.
They didn't get mercy ruled.
Not what you wanted.
They did not get mercy ruled.
See, the other thing is, I know.
And mercy rule is when you have a good team playing a bad team. Aberdeen is not a bad team. They will win against Rochester unless Aberdeen messes up somehow the whole program. Aberdeen will beat Rochester and they will beat Shelton.
I also
That is my
know that
prediction for the end of the year.
Aberdeen moved the ball some in that Tumwater game. It's not like, oh, they only scored 3 points and they gained 80 yards as a team. They did move the ball some, and they even got into scoring position multiple times. They just couldn't finish the drives. So
I wasn't able to watch this year's game against Tumwater, but in the past there has been an issue where Tumwater just has linemen that are D1 college,
yeah,
and
It's a different level.
it's just a completely different level. Like this is last year, the game against Tumwater, it felt like it was a win if the running back could reach the edge. Like it was like, oh my gosh, that play was a win.
Well, and this year you had Jeremy Sawyer running for 20 yards a few times, a lot of runs in like the 7 to 10 yard range, but also, having several times where he just got blasted right when he got the ball. So it's, we were saying it's not like Aberdeen was completely non-competitive. If you look at the scoreboard, it's 35-3, but if you look at the context of what actually happened in the game, they didn't just get boat raced like that,
And I guess that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
if Tumwater has guys on their line that all of them are college level, that's something that a Aberdeen can't handle.
I think
as far as like person to person on the line.
I think one hard thing and Aberdeen has shifted a lot more towards a power running style, like getting all their different backs involved, and I think that's made a big difference in their offense. But I think the hard part for Aberdeen too is like with injuries, the hits just keep coming.
yeah.
And you just played Tumwater, which is a really big, good physical team, and you kind of got beat up again. So without going into any detail about who got hurt and how significantly, there's a lot of guys for Aberdeen that are either injured and out or playing through stuff.
Yep.
And I think that's going to make it tough for them down the stretch. And I don't I know you weren't doing this, but I don't want to portray Shelton as a pushover. I think Shelton's a good team.
I think they are too. I think Aberdeen's a good team.
I
high
agree.
climbers.
Agreed. Yeah, the high climbers. Yeah.
High climbers.
Rochester's a win unless they goof up somehow.
Exactly.
Badly.
Unless they screw something up. Like, I mean, they did last year. They shouldn't have lost to Aberdeen or to Rochester last year.
Yeah.
But they did.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying
was
it's
very frustrating.
I was at the broadcast. I was at that game. It was very frustrating.
I was
horrible.
also at that game.
Yep. All right, we got a tough decision to make here, dude.
I got a message for Montesano fans before we move
Okay.
on to Athlete of the Week, since
Okay.
I hope we have a few Montesano fans in here.
Yeah. Well, we do because Aaron Pell
There was a
is
play.
here, so I know she's here.
There was a play late in the game, and like, I'll put this in the context of what's been happening the last couple weeks.
Okay.
Montesano now has had 2 consecutive weeks, big games against tough opponents on the road, in which the officiating, and I'm not going to do the thing where I hammer the officiating. I'll
Why
call
not?
it weird. Okay?
Why not
Well,
hammer
the
it?
Shelton
Weird.
one,
You should
Shelton was
hammer it.
weird.
Weird
should
and
hammer it.
unbalanced.
You should hammer it.
So whether I'm going to say that many of those penalties are legitimate or not, I'm not going into all of that. I will say 2 weeks on the road, probably, people were looking at this as, hey, this is our toughest stretch of the season, 2 weeks on the road against really good teams. And you feel like you're going up against the opposing team and the officials. Mm-hmm. Understandably, fans get upset. Sometimes I think our fans are a little embarrassing. I left the visiting grandstands.
I love this side of Justin
I'm
where
so
he's
sorry.
embarrassed
Okay, so
by
this
his
is the
own
thing where, like,
fans.
I'm gonna say this because I've done this in the past. We talked about the blankets in Montesano before. We've done other things where I'm gonna say I'm gonna piss people in Montesano off, and I don't care.
Yep.
Because
Do
I
it.
feel like I need to say what's real.
Do it.
I sometimes find our fans a little embarrassing because they have a hard time knowing where to draw the line on booing and yelling at the officials.
Yep.
And we crossed the line against Eatonville.
I just want to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
I've broadcast a ton of Monty games
Yeah.
on a lot of different sports. And I'm going to give you most of the platform on this.
Okay.
After I say this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sit back and listen. I've watched a lot of girls. You don't have to be upset about calls. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I'm going to sit back and I'm going to say that knowing that I have seen Hoquiam teams be really good before, and that's happened too. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't bring it back up now when we're having this discussion. But now I will sit back and listen.
Okay, so for me, without endorsing what you said, because I gotta see these people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that there's a progression for me from I sat in the stands for the first half. Everything was pretty calm. People were excited. We cheer the kids. There's mounting frustration over the officiating.
Understandably.
17
penalties.
And I think that's the hard part for me is like, I totally understand how all of our fans got to where they were. Second half, I'm tense. It's not because of the fans. I left the stands. I can't sit still. I have to pace. I have to walk. There's other parents that are the same as me. I'm weird, but I'm not that weird.
Pretty weird.
As the game is going on and the stands get louder and louder with every penalty call, I'm starting to turn around going, oh, really, guys? Like, I'm kind of cringing a little bit. Like, all right, no, I understand how you got here, but this is starting to feel a little weird. In the fourth quarter, Job Kralik, who is the quarterback for Eatonville, takes a helmet-to-helmet hit from a Montesano player, which I not only watched live, I watched it on the film. It was not malicious. It was not intentional. There's blame to be spread in multiple areas for this. But when Kralik went down, he was flat on the ground, arms out to his side. To me, it looked like he was knocked out. I thought he was unconscious on the ground. I immediately felt sick. Anyone who's a football parent, you watch your kids play. It's not a good feeling when you see something that serious happen on the field.
Yeah.
And I turn around. My grandstands are booing. I hear individual people yelling at the officials. That's not helmet to helmet. we got to pick our spots, guys. Like, when there's a kid lying on the turf, players are taking a knee, just shut up for a minute. Like, just take a moment to, like I said, I understand how you got where you got. You got to take a second to understand the gravity of the moment.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that from the beginning of this year, I have been that parent. I almost got kicked out of a basketball tournament in Seaside because I wouldn't lay off the refs. I have made a commitment to myself and the people around me that I will cheer for the kids. I will get pumped up and psyched when something good happens. I will text profanities to my groups when I'm excited about something. I will grumble about the officials under my breath.
Yeah.
I think it's entirely inappropriate for a large group of people to boo so hatefully towards something that happens on the field. And then when there's a kid that's injured lying on the field, you got to stop. You got to recognize what's happening. You have to live in that moment, and you got to close your mouth.
Yeah.
There needs to be some silence. There needs to be some perspective, and we got to move on together.
I think there's some distinction that should be drawn in people's minds there between the refs, who you're understandably upset with, and the players on the other team who are teenagers
Yeah.
who are playing a game that is just for fun.
Yeah.
And that's like it's understandable to heckle the refs. Choose to do that when the refs are terrible. It's understandable to heckle the refs when the refs are terrible.
Pick your spot.
Choose to do that.
Heckle, not berate.
Well,
I
and
think is a
also
difference
just
too.
choose to do that in respect the other team.
Yeah.
Especially the kids on the other team are just kids. They're just playing as hard as they can for their team. The refs, I think even bigger than high school. I feel like systemic, just kids playing a game.
Exactly.
Thank
and
you. Very good.
I think that's not the worst situation I've heard, because sadly,
I've witnessed worse.
You've witnessed a high school kid who was hurt getting booed and jeered. The kid who was getting booed and jeered. That is worse. You know exactly what I'm thinking about.
I do, yeah.
It happened in soccer.
Yep.
But that is also bad form.
Should I call out the town?
No.
Okay.
Just because of who you are and
I
what
want
town you're
to,
from,
though.
you're not going to.
I really want to.
Are you?
I would be
the town, Daniel.
No, I'm not going to.
We're just gonna.
We're gonna let
gonna subtext this.
We've brought it up before,
You're right.
so I don't think we need to now.
Okay.
But that is also bad form. You don't boo and jeer when there's a player on the field down on the ground with a serious injury. You don't do it. I'm glad that they weren't booing the kid, because that is the situation that we are talking about that was worse. But it is bad.
This weekend, though, in pro sports, we had this issue
Thank you. Yes.
with Bichette and Springer colliding in the outfield. We were ecstatic.
Yep.
The Mariners had just taken the lead.
Tied.
They just tied. But it's still something. Take a step back.
Yeah.
Realize that somebody's in. There's real things. Sports is fun. Life and death is real.
Yeah. No, we were ecstatic, and then it was like, no, Springer's down.
Springer's hurt.
And we were really worried for a while, and we kind of like really subdued our celebration until we were like, okay, he's okay. Like, he's hurt, but he's not going to die.
He's walking around.
He's walking around.
Yeah.
He's fine. He's able to get on the cart. He's able to talk to people. And then we were like, wow, wasn't that so awesome that we scored the runs? But it was still a very subdued thing. And when there's somebody on the ground, it doesn't matter if it's grade school, middle school, high school, college, pro. That is when you show respect.
And also, I would add, because I think the defense that would be used is, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
If you didn't realize, look inward about how you're berating and criticizing officials to the point that you no longer realize what's happening on the field. And how about this? Next time, if you want to boo the officials, make sure first that everything's okay.
Take a half second.
Yeah.
Take a half a second.
I think we dwelled on this a little longer than I wanted to. But
That's okay.
The
That's
next
your
part of
fault.
the show is actually what I'm most excited about.
Yes.
Which is to name an Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week.
This is a toughie.
A record number of nominations this week.
Yep.
And I'm going to go through all of them. We'll talk about what all these kids did, okay? So from Monty Football, we had several.
Yep.
The most nominated player
And they have the escalator. They took out the number 1 ranked team in the state.
on the road on their homecoming day.
Yes. So those are some escalators.
Yeah. The most nominated player was Montesano's Kaleb Ames,
I nominated him too.
as did I.
Yep. So he's got some.
He's got some juice behind that nomination.
Everybody else has some uphill work to do.
Jackson Wilson was a name that
Horse.
came up, which I think is incredible because, like Daniel, you mentioned we were talking about the game.
Yep.
Him stepping in that scenario was such a big deal.
Yeah.
And providing stability for the Bulldogs. I think it would be irresponsible not to mention Jaden McElravy because I've been saying week in and week out he's been Montesano's most consistent player and still not winning Athlete of the Week.
Jaden played great
And
before he got
Jaden
hurt.
was so good in the first half that when the first half was winding down, I was like, this is going to finally be the week that Jaden gets Athlete of the Week.
Yep.
And then he got knocked out.
Yep.
Knocked out of the game. Didn't get to come back. So I feel like Jaden is worthy of being mentioned. I got a nomination for Tucker Eaton for Montesano, who set the tone by intercepting Job Kralick's first pass of the game.
He's got good genes.
He does. Played some really good defense. I got a
Hurts.
nomination for Cole Eckerson, who as a safety throughout the whole year has been one of Montesano's best players, if not their best defensive player.
Yep.
One of their best defensive players. And then also from Steve Bovey, we got a nomination for Montesano's offensive line. Because the other thing that I don't think I ended up mentioning was going up against Eatonville, the number 1 team, which was huge and really good. I was anticipating that the line of scrimmage was going to be a tough one. And it ended up being Montesano's offensive line and their scheme opened up running lanes for their backs and for Jaden and for Jackson throughout the course of the game in a way that I thought was really impressive. I can see somebody else typed in RSB, Raymond South Bend's O-line. I assume that was you, Daniel.
Yes, it was because they had 450 some yards of running.
And I think PL Willapa Valley's offensive line for what they did in a similar way
Yep.
could also be mentioned.
Yes, they definitely should be mentioned. They only had 439.
I mean,
Only.
not,
I say only, but
not enough.
But when RSB had, what was it,
450?
450 yards
Yeah.
of rushing. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
And then for PWV football, Blake Howard, Derek Flute, Will Clements. Those all came in as guys who scored touchdowns for the Vikings, or for the Titans. Sorry, I went Willapa Valley straight there. For Aberdeen football, Jeremy Sawyer, I got a nomination for him. I think it's worth noting Jeremy Sawyer got really close to the 100-yard mark against Tumwater, which I think is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
For Elma football, Carter Studer, almost 300 yards passing.
Yep.
3 touchdowns passing.
And he
1
also had
touchdown
25 yards rushing.
and a touchdown on the ground. So I think Carter Studer definitely, I think, to be honest, had that been a win, that would really flip the scales on this one for Studer.
Yeah.
And then from the Grays Harbor Gulls Academy, we had 2 nominations. One was Michael Garcia. He's the one who scored the hat trick in the 9-0 win.
I love how you're just petting Andrew's dog while you're talking about this.
It's Paxies. I love him. And then JB Fabian, who had the 4 assists and 1 goal for the Gulls Academy in that win as well. So, and then as we mentioned earlier in the local sports roundup, it's Michael Garcia is the leading goal scorer in that league, and then Fabian is the leading assister in that league. So these are guys who have been doing it consistently game in and game out. Daniel, we got a choice to make here.
Dude, this is a tough decision, and I
is
think I'm
tough.
going to shock you with my vote.
You're going to shock me?
I'm going to shock you.
Are we going to
with
have to
my
wait
vote.
for Andrew to come back for a tiebreaker?
We are. I don't know where he went.
Okay.
But my vote doesn't have any escalators
Okay.
because I was looking at the numbers and I've seen big games from him before, and it was kind of another thing where, like, you know how Jaden gets snubbed?
Yeah.
I feel like this kid gets snubbed.
Is he in our nominations?
Yes.
Okay.
My vote, I think, has got to go to Carter Studer,
Oh boy.
who had 293 yards passing, 25 yards rushing, and 4 total touchdowns.
Okay.
It wasn't a loss
Against an undefeated team.
against an undefeated team, but they put up 35 points, and he scored four touchdowns.
Four of
the
the
5 touchdowns. Yeah. That is a massive performance.
And only a junior.
And he's only a junior. So this is coming from the guy I was yelling for Kaleb Ames the whole week.
Literally yelling.
Yeah, screaming.
Yeah,
Kaleb
before
Ames.
the game even happened.
Yeah.
All week.
All week. So I don't know. I think it's between. I think Caleb's got to be up there. I think Carter Studer is up there. The RSBO line for 450 rushing yards has got to be up there. Who are you looking at?
So for me, I'm gonna go. This is total bias because I was at the game.
Yeah.
And felt the impact
And
of what
this
happened.
has all the escalators
All the escalators. So
in league.
Yep.
Number 1 team in the state at their field on their homecoming night.
Yep.
This is a massive game.
So Kaleb Ames, not only the first touchdown, which was what gave Monty the lead right before the half, at the moment when they had just lost their quarterback. And, I mean, you could say the same thing about Jackson Wilson because he's the one who threw the pass. But you got Kaleb Ames with that 5-yard touchdown going into halftime. Then in the fourth quarter, when it was starting to feel like Montesano was gonna win. Like, it felt like they were gonna win, but it was a 4th down play. They decided to go for it. 25-yard touchdown pass. And I think seeing that touchdown catch by Kaleb and finding out later that he was actually super sick during the game. Did you say sick as a dog?
Yeah, his dad told me that he was sick as a dog.
So
Aaron
Kaleb,
says that he had a fever in the middle of the third with breathing issues and came in for the last touchdown.
Yeah.
seeing the catch, this was a high ball, full extension, fingertip grab, and it was the kind of pass that when you come down, you're so extended and grabbing it on your fingertips that when you come down, it's an awkward landing. And he held on to the ball. So for me, the momentum swing of the end of the second quarter catch and then putting the nail in the coffin with that phenomenal grab. And I didn't even mention, this is my failure, I didn't mention that earlier in the game. You remember last week I told you he caught a touchdown pass while being interfered with?
Yeah.
There was an almost identical play. It wasn't a touchdown. But defensive back running at him, hands up, never turns around, runs straight at him. Kaleb reaches around the defensive back and makes the catch on the ball. That was a long touchdown pass earlier in the game.
Well, didn't he have an interception?
He had an interception on defense as
and
well.
did he also have a fumble recovery?
That I couldn't say. I don't know for sure.
When I was listening to it, I want to say that he also had a fumble recovery.
The game got kind of weird in a couple spots where there was fumbles that I couldn't tell were fumbles, and then a team had the ball, and I was like, what? There was actually a play where Monty had the ball, they fumbled,
Yeah,
Eatonville recovered, then
They
my
fumbled.
my son forced a fumble of the Eatonville guy who recovered the fumble,
Yeah.
and then it was recovered again by Montesano, but
And
I
then-
couldn't say who recovered it.
And then they called it a first down.
And then, but it is because
Yeah.
possession changed twice.
a double fumble.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a weird game. I
So-
was listening to it, and
so, yeah.
I gotta say, your son was mentioned a lot on Ian's broadcast,
That's bias.
which was fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Because he knows how to say the name and he really wants to show it off.
Yeah.
I felt bad for Ian having to call that game on his own.
my bad.
I felt like somebody should have
stepped up.
Somebody should have stepped up.
But
to
then I
help
would have
him
had to
out
watch
there.
the whole game from the 20-yard line.
I think
That would have
Justin-
been awful for you.
I'm gonna say both Justin and I. Bad job by us.
This is what it would have sounded like if I tried to do color commentary. Yes! That would have been my color commentary.
So Andrew, I posited Carter Studer. Justin, for a plethora of reasons, said Kaleb Ames. Do you have a tiebreaker for us, or are you going someone completely different?
I'm a homer.
So you're gonna say Jeremy Sawyer?
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Gosh dang it. I think the nod due to escalators goes to Kaleb Ames.
Okay.
I know
But
it seems-
Carter
that seems
Studer,
fair to me.
Carter Studer, if you're listening to this, or a
Yes.
teammate of Carter is listening to this, please know you were literally centimeters away
Yes.
from winning this Athlete of the Week award.
And as much as I want to give it to a non-bulldog, We're gonna
Maroon
give it
Storm.
to a freaking bulldog.
It's
Maroon
a
Storm.
strong bias on Daniel's
Storm.
part.
I also
he would
really-
really like to find a
Yes.
non-money player to give
Yes.
this to.
I also really like Kaleb.
He's such a good
I
kid.
played basketball with Kaleb because he came to help his dad. I play on his dad's rec basketball team, and his son Kaleb came and played with us, and we just had a great time. And so I really like Kaleb, and that is also playing into it.
I hope I don't embarrass Kaleb by saying this, but the big reason why I've loved Kaleb so much for the last several years is that, you know, we spent a lot of time at basketball tournaments, and all these families have kids of all different ages. So at different points, the Ames family was at tournaments for basketball at the same time that my family was. And Kaleb was so good to my daughter. And she's little at the time. She was probably like 4 or 5. And he was so sweet, and he would play with her and laugh with her and joke with her. And ever since then, I've been like, I don't care what you do, Kaleb. You're a good kid.
Yep,
You're my guy.
he is.
Yeah, I'm getting emotional, not going to lie.
I just, you know, teenage kids who were nice to my small daughter, gonna tend to be a little partial towards those guys.
Yep. I gotta
Bias.
say,
Bias.
I make fun of Justin's bias, but give me 15 years, I'm gonna be nominating Anchor every friggin' week.
Me too, because 15 years from now, I won't have any kids playing sports.
He's gonna be a freshman sitting on the bench doing nothing for anything. I'm like, Anchor had a great week this week.
Did you see Anchor supporting his team?
Well, by that point, how many different angles of everything happening will we have at all times? We can
At
watch
least
video of Anchor and break down how well he picked his nose on the end of the bench. He could win Athlete of the Week just for that,
Exactly.
for booger flicking.
Aaron says he gets it from his mom.
Fair. That's fair.
Understandable. She knows.
Well,
Aaron
congratulations, Kaleb Ames
Yep.
of Montesano. You are our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week for all of the reasons that we mentioned, and you deserve it a lot.
knows. Yep. We'll also probably do a post of all the other excellent people who were nominated and had great weeks this week. Another great week for local high school football and other sports. But I think that's going to do it for us today.
Yeah, Ian also texted us that Kaleb is the one who recovered that fumble.
Yeah, so he had just a massive game. He had a game much like Taysom Hill did.
Oh boy, we don't need to talk about that.
Ugh, sorry, should I not have done that? Anyway, that's going to do it for our show today. So for my co-host, Justin, the Monty Homer and fan regulator, Tom Rashevitz.
And my co-host, Daniel, I didn't spend the energy to come up with a nickname, Hargrove.
Good call there. And our trusty producer, Andrew. Did he really come up with that in that short of time? Andrew Gross. I butchered that all the way through.
Andrew,
Gross.
we were impressed by your producing skills.
Yes. Anyway, you've been listening to The Scrimmage.
Yes.
Yeah.